Bonsoir et bienvenue à notre séance conseil pour le mois de juin. On est très, très occupés ce soir. On va faire ça le plus efficacement possible, Madame Corbeil, n'est-ce pas? Je ne sais pas si Monsieur le commandant est ici. Monsieur Mailleux, vous êtes seul ce soir? On vous passe la parole d'abord. Merci beaucoup d'être là.
Alors, bonsoir. Ça ne sera pas bien long. Au niveau de la criminalité, ça va bien présentement. Si on compare avec mai 2018 et mai 2019, tout au niveau de la criminalité est à la baisse, même au niveau des accidents. Alors, continuez les citoyens. Ça va bien dans les rues de l'arrondissement. Et dernièrement, on avait la semaine de la police du 12 au 18 mai. On a fait plusieurs activités, dont un match de hockey COSOM avec comme partenaire l'organisme de projet communautaire en santé mentale. Et on avait l'invité d'honneur, M. Baisse, bien entendu, et M. Georges Larac. Alors, on a participé toute la journée à des matchs de hockey COSOM. Et aussi, des présentations ont été faites avec les nouveaux arrivants étrangers et l'organisme Le 6 mois. Dans le cadre de la semaine de la police, on a rencontré les gens, on a présenté les services policiers qui sont offerts aux gens de la communauté dans le quartier. Comme dernière activité qu'on a faite, c'est le café avec un policier. Alors, on s'est promené dans les endroits le matin où les gens se rassemblent pour discuter avec eux, échanger. Et tous les policiers du poste 3 ont participé à un endroit là, précis pour pouvoir avoir une meilleure vision là, du quartier avec les gens le matin. Dernier point pour moi, merci.
Merci, M. Mailleux. C'est bon que vous avez mentionné Georges Larac et moi parce que j'ai une blessure sur ma jambe encore depuis, imaginez. Je laisse... est-ce que vous avez des questions de la part du Conseil? M. Gignac, je pense que vous avez quelques commentaires.
Merci, M. le maire. M. le maire, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Écoutez, très par tradition, le comité de circulation va vous adresser quelques demandes qui vont être passées sur étude. Maintenant, si vous pourriez... Excusez, ça ne marche pas. Maintenant? Parfait, excusez. Je recommence. Bonsoir, M. Mailleux. Alors, le comité de circulation vous a adressé quelques demandes préalables au comité de la semaine prochaine. Le mois dernier, je demandais au commandant Bigra d'être présent, par exemple, sur Georges Vanier, rue Briand, Jean Briand, etc. Cette fois-ci, il y a une problématique de trois coins de la rue Harry Worth, où les gens qui, pour éviter de poursuivre sur le boulevard Pierrefonds, vont emprunter Harry Ward pour aller rejoindre Saint-Jean. Oui. La même problématique autour de Jacques Bizard, boulevard Pierrefonds. Là, c'est beaucoup plus grave parce que c'est beaucoup plus large. Les gens vont emprunter Saint-Pierre, vont aller sur Paiement pour revenir sur Jacques Bizard pour aller, ou Acres pour aller prendre au coude. Et là c'est que le trafic est devenu intenable. Et évidemment, avec le trafic viennent les infractions et autres. Harry Ward, Jacques Bissard. Et Elgin, même phénomène. Les gens qui vont vers l'ouest, au lieu d'aller prendre Saint-Charles puis éviter la lumière, vont, parce que ça peut prendre 2-3 lumières, vont prendre la rue Elgin juste avant Saint-Charles. Alors, ces trois dossiers-là vont être étudiés, mais peut-être regarder en attendant.
Oui, monsieur.
S'il vous plaît. Merci.
Il y a M. Gignac, d'autres questions de la part du Conseil? De la part de nos citoyens. Any questions from the audience? Monsieur Mailleux, c'était une soirée très vite pour vous. Merci beaucoup. On a la réunion au mois d'août. En juillet, on n'a pas. Ça se peut qu'on va avoir une extraordinaire. On ne sait pas encore, mais on va se revoir au mois d'août.
Fantastique. Merci.
Merci
Bonne
beaucoup.
saison estivale.
Bonne soirée. Suite à la crue printanière 2019, l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro a organisé, avec l'aide de plusieurs bénévoles dévoués, une grande corvée de ramassage de sacs de sable le 25 mai dernier, où une centaine de bénévoles sont venus aider les résidents qui habitent en zone inondable à ramasser les sacs installés sur leur propriété. Merci à tous ceux qui sont venus prêts à main forte afin de permettre à nos concitoyens de retrouver en partie leur rythme de vie normal. Et je souligne la présence de plusieurs de nos bénévoles dans la salle, entre autres les gens en arrière debout. On les félicite encore, puis on les remercie. Compte tenu de la décrue lente mais constante observée depuis les 2 dernières semaines, en considérant le niveau des débits actuels, je vous rappelle que l'arrondissement autorise maintenant les résidents et les résidentes à retirer les sacs de sable sur leur propriété privée et leur commerce. On sait que sur les propriétés près de la rive, on a encore beaucoup de sacs de sable qui font partie un peu les digues qu'on a construites avec les travaux publics. Et je les remercie, l'École bleue aussi, pour le travail exceptionnel. On a confirmé avec M. Baudouin ce soir que les équipes sont actuellement sur le terrain en train d'enlever les sacs sur les des terrains privés. Et ça va continuer jusqu'à la fin de semaine. On espère d'avoir, au moins, d'être capable d'enlever les sacs sur les propriétés privées et par la suite commencer sur les digues qu'on a au bout des rues. Suite à la crue printanière aussi 2019, l'arrondissement a travaillé en collaboration avec le ministère de la Sécurité publique afin d'organiser une rencontre d'information pour les sinistrés des inondations. Une rencontre est prévue le mercredi 12 juin à 19h au Centre culturel de Pierrefonds. Et on vous demande de surveiller le site de l'arrondissement ainsi que le Facebook, Twitter, etc. pour avoir plus d'informations. Mais encore, c'est comme l'année dernière, on avait rencontré le ministre, mais aussi les services concernés pour donner l'aide aux sinistrés. On n'a pas beaucoup quand même à l'arrondissement cette fois-ci, mais on pense que c'est absolument nécessaire d'avoir quelque chose ici dans notre arrondissement. Et c'est avec grande fierté et beaucoup d'émotion que nous avons souligné l'ouverture au grand public de la nouvelle bibliothèque de Pierrefonds le 23 mai dernier, lors d'un événement spécial où plus de 300 citoyens et citoyennes de l'arrondissement étaient présents pour l'occasion. Lors des portes ouvertes organisées, vous avez été plus de 14 000 personnes à venir découvrir le joyau dans notre communauté. Pendant les 4 journées, nous avons aussi enregistré un total de 6 884 prêts et un total de 428 abonnements. Je pense que c'est un succès total. Je vous félicite, l'équipe ici et les résidents aussi, parce que sans eux, on n'aurait pas été capable de faire l'événement. Mais je félicite aussi l'équipe de Mme Gervais pour le travail exceptionnel aussi. Samedi dernier, l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro tenait sa journée annuelle de jardinage et de l'environnement sur le site de la mairie d'arrondissement, juste à côté. Et nos équipes de l'horticulture ont distribué gratuitement plus de 1000 plantes variées. On parle de vivaces, fines herbes, légumes, etc. 300 plantes de fraises, de même que de compost et de copeaux de bois. Et l'événement a connu un fort succès avec la participation de 1400 personnes. Vous savez, depuis longtemps, je parle du REM et d'avoir les représentants du REM ici dans l'arrondissement pour tenir une soirée d'information. On était capable, j'avais annoncé ça fait quelques mois déjà, et je vous informe que le réseau Express métropolitain tiendra une rencontre publique d'information pour les citoyens et citoyennes de Pierrefonds-Roxboro ce mercredi 5 juin de 18h à 20h au Centre culturel de Pierrefonds. Encore, c'est une opportunité, je crois, pour les gens de venir demander des questions parce que le dossier avance très vite et surtout qu'on a 2 gares ici à Pierrefonds-Roxboro, Roxboro-Pierrefonds et Sunnybrook. Ça vous donne l'opportunité de demander les questions qui vous concernent. Et nous aussi, le Conseil, on va être là, puis on va demander peut-être les mêmes questions, mais on a nos propres questions aussi à demander aux responsables du REM. L'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro invite aussi les citoyens qui souhaitent s'exprimer sur le futur des parcs et des berges à participer à un groupe de discussion dans le cadre de la rédaction de son plan directeur d'aménagement et de développement des parcs et des berges 2019-2034. Lors de cette activité, vous pouvez faire part de votre vision et vos rêves pour le futur des parcs et des berges de l'arrondissement. Encore, on est toujours à la recherche des participants pour les groupes suivants. Le 6 juin, les ados âgés de 12 à 17 ans. Le 6 juin, de 18h30 à 21h, les adultes familles avec enfants à la maison, à la bibliothèque de Pierrefonds. Et je vous demande d'aller sur le site de l'arrondissement et de réserver votre place on dit avant le 31 mai, mais on a aussi le temps de le faire. J'ai quelques items qui restent encore. Le relais pour la vie de l'ouest de l'île organise pour la 12e fois le relais pour la vie. C'est le vendredi, le 7 juin, de 19h à 7h le matin au parc Rive-Boisée. On a décidé Rive-Boisée parce que d'habitude, l'événement, on le fait dans le parc George Springgate à PCHS, mais à cause qu'on est en train de faire le deuxième parc synthétique, terrain synthétique avec la piste d'athlétisme, on ne voulait pas prendre une chance et c'est pour cette raison qu'on fait ça au parc Rive-Boisée. On vous invite, c'est une marche toute la nuit, de 7 h le soir jusqu'à 7 h le matin, 19 h jusqu'à 7 h. Il va y avoir aussi beaucoup d'activités, les jeunes, il va y avoir la musique jusqu'à 11 h le soir et on vous encourage de venir en grand nombre et supporter cette cause très importante pour, pas juste nous, mais pour les gens aussi qui sont en train de combattre le cancer. Le dimanche, le 9 juin, de 8h30 à midi, je vous invite aussi en grand nombre de vous joindre à moi dans le cadre de la marche annuelle du maire. Et cette année, le point de départ, c'est ici à l'Hôtel de Ville, dans le stationnement. Et on fait un boucle. On va laisser les autos ici, ou les vélos. Et on va faire un boucle de 10 km dans l'arrondissement. On va passer par la piscine Versailles aussi pour vous montrer l'avancement de ce projet, malgré l'effet qu'on ne peut pas ouvrir la piscine cette année à cause d'une situation qu'on a à cause des inondations dans un terrain de la ville qui est adjacent de cette piscine. Mais quand même, ça va vous donner une idée là, du travail qu'on a fait déjà dans la construction, surtout du chalet. Et là, on va retourner par d'autres rues résidentielles pour venir ici à l'Hôtel de Ville. On a annoncé l'année dernière, pour la première fois, il va y avoir une marché publique dans le parc Château-Pierrefonds les dimanches. Et on vous annonce encore la saison estivale du 16 juin jusqu'au 29 septembre dans le parc Château-Pierrefonds, tous les dimanches entre 10h et 14h dès le 16 juin. On n'est pas en mesure encore pour annoncer le marché public dans l'Est, dans le parc Amabé encore, parce que les dates ne sont pas confirmées encore. Mais c'est sûr qu'on va avoir un autre marché dans l'Est, comme d'habitude, pour vous donner l'opportunité de participer à cette activité. Deux autres items, très vite, très rapide. C'est pour juste noter que le CCU, le Comité consultatif d'urbanisme, est reporté au lundi 10 juin à 18h30 ici à la mairie. Et pour la Fête du Canada, en vue des festivités pour la Fête du Canada à Pierrefonds-Roxboro le lundi 1er juillet, nos équipes tiendront une prévente de billets pour le parc de manège Beauce Carnaval. Et si vous désirez acheter vos billets pour les manèges et les amusements, la prévente des billets aura lieu le 10, 11 et 12 juin prochain, de 9h à 19h à la bibliothèque de Pierrefonds, payable bien sûr par argent comptant seulement. Et pour terminer, je veux souhaiter, I would like to wish everyone celebrating this holy holiday and Eid Mubarak to all our community and extended communities on the West Island that will be celebrating this holiday, I believe, as of tomorrow.
Alors, nous allons procéder avec l'ouverture de la période de questions. Mesdames et messieurs, permettez-moi de vous rappeler que certaines règles s'appliquent lorsque vous vous adressez aux membres du Conseil d'arrondissement. Tout intervenant doit s'inscrire avant la séance du Conseil de façon à avoir le droit de poser des questions limitées à 2. Lorsque vous posez votre question, vous devez obligatoirement vous adresser au maire qui préside la séance et non directement aux membres du Conseil. Votre question doit être claire et précise, sans préambule. Vous devez être poli et respectueux envers les membres du Conseil. Si vous ne respectez pas ces règles, vous serez invité à vous retirer et à quitter la salle. La prise de photos, de vidéos et les enregistrements sont interdits sans l'autorisation du maire. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to remind you that certain rules apply when you address council members. Each individual is requested to register prior to the council meeting in order to have the right to ask questions, not exceeding 2. When addressing the council, you have to direct your questions solely to the mayor presiding over the council meeting and not directly to any council members. Your question has to be clear and precise without preamble. If you do not respect these rules, you will be asked to retire and to leave the chamber, the council chamber. Taking pictures, filming, and recording are forbidden without the mayor's authorization. Monsieur Damian Beaurivage, je vais vous demander de vous adresser... Oh, je m'excuse, Monsieur Adèle Boulos.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I don't have a question, but I would like to present myself. My name is Adel Boulos. I'm the president of the Canadian Egyptian Business Network in Montreal. We are here today with a part of the Egyptian community. We have taken permission from the council to be here tonight. This event was supposed to be held next week at our church in Saint George and Saint Joseph in Pierrefonds. This is the big white church on Pierrefonds, but due to unforeseen circumstance, we couldn't hold it there. So we took permission. Thank you very much for permitting us to do this here tonight. And I know that you will agree with me on what we're going to be doing next as residents of Pierrefonds-Roxboro. We witnessed this year in April the floods, and we really couldn't let it pass without giving recognition to the mayor of Pierrefonds, Mr. Jim Bass, the councillors of Pierrefonds, the staff, and also the volunteers. We've seen in 2017 that it was a problem. But in this year, we've noticed that the city was more ready, and the things that happened were really done in a wonderful way, that we wouldn't let it pass without giving recognition to the council and the mayor and the staff and the volunteers. We've seen the mayor, and I'm sure every one of you noticed this, that Mayor Jim Bass was on the street day and night with the councillors. Some of the councillors were there. He was working on the sandbagging, the balloons, the pumps, all of the equipment to make sure that the residents were protected. And thank God, I think that most of the residents were protected this year. I have my sister-in-law who lives in Shiringindi. He lives in the street Duvet, I think. And in 2017, the water came in front of her house. I was walking, it was up to here for me. And water came inside her garage, and she was affected. But thank God this year, every night she was calling us. She was telling us every time the water is going up, the viaduct, it keeps going up. They keep blocking more and more, and the mayor was there. We were listening to the mayor every night, giving us the report, telling us what's going to happen, what do the people need, how to organize the volunteers. Day and night it was happening. I'm not a resident of Pierrefonds. I live in Ile-Bizarre, but trust me, Ile-Bizarre people, they are so grateful for what you did because of the crossing of Jacques Bizarre and Pierrefonds. This area last year was a disaster for us to cross from Ile-Bizarre and to go out to our work and come back every day, but this year it was solved very fast. The mayor came one night and he said, the staff is working extra time, overtime at night to put special custom equipment, I remember that, to solve this issue in that crossing. And they stayed, I saw them, I was coming back home at 11 o'clock at night. They had the big lights on, they were working on the river. I don't know what the custom equipment was, but for sure the next day, miraculously, this street that was full of water, and the garden was full of water, remember that? All of a sudden, there was no water there. So really, thank you very much. That was great.
Can I just add something? You know, as mayor, you get the good and the bad, because you're that person at that level that has to assume the responsibility of whichever way it goes. And I have to tell you that this time around we were quite fortunate for many reasons why we had the outcome that we did this year. And one of the main reasons is the incredible work by our staff, the innovative approaches by Mr. Baudouin and his team, who can never go unnoticed. And that stuff we did at the river, it's called a cofferdam, that was thought of in-house and was welded on the spot and dropped in the river. And a few of those were put in place in different locations and solved the issue there. Now, it could have gone the other way. We're very fortunate that it worked out up until the time that it did, and we didn't find ourselves in the similar predicament as other communities throughout Quebec, for that matter. So for this time around, we did everything and anything. It is a joint effort. Yes, there is a maestro at some level, but you need an orchestra, and if a string breaks in that orchestra, then everything is ruined. And thankfully, for many reasons, with all the people around this table, I could never receive any praise from anybody if it wasn't for the support of my council and the undying support of our staff, who were all in the same direction, working towards creating a safe environment and creating a sense of relief and peace to the citizens. And again, whether you're spiritual or not, I believe that there are many reasons why this happened, and thank God that it did.
Well, the leaders, they show up, they shine when it's time for trouble. And for sure, we've seen this team here shine when it was the time for trouble. And we wish that all the other teams that govern us, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, would do the same thing.
Thank you, Mr.
So on behalf of the Egyptian community and Father Raphael from the Coptic Church, we would like to present you with this recognition. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we just have one more thing. We had just some flowers, if you permit me, for the council. Some flowers. And we'd also like to recognize someone from the community, Randa Masad. She covered also this flood in a tremendous way, that we got the information of what we needed to do, where the volunteers had to go. So thank you very much, Rhonda and Blanc West Island, sorry, for this work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's a magnet, just.
We're gonna go get one in the front and take a picture with it. I'll go with the black as well.
Avant de partir, je voudrais juste ajouter.
So the question is, can you ask the developer that at such time as the floodplain map comes out, because it may very well anticipate higher level, are they willing to modify their development in accordance to the new map that comes out?
Well, thank you very much for the question. As a matter of fact, what we're doing now is we're putting a hold on everything to do with that property. And it is something that is of concern to us simply because we encountered again the similar scenarios as what we had in 2017.
Yes.
We know that a parcel of that property sits on 20 to 100-year floodplain. But regardless, because of the uncertainty regarding that property, we have put a hold on it up until such time that not only do we have the flood plan, but also what type of building can be placed there. So everything right now is, you mentioned that there are still some minor exemptions ready to go.
Yes.
And we're not doing anything for that property up until such time that we are sure as a council and as an administration that it's in the best interest of everyone involved that a building of that magnitude goes in this sector. So right now it's status quo, and we won't be doing anything up until such time that we can examine this a little closer.
Okay, thank you. I've been asking about that for several months, and I'm glad to hear that that's the
Well,
decision.
you know, let's be honest. If this didn't happen this year, chances are that we would be following through with the project as planned, because it was designed in a way that would meet all the criteria for a 20 to 100-year floodplain.
Yes.
Now, regardless of that, it could happen still that once we do get the floodplain, a decision is going to have to be made. Is it something that will be built in that location in the same way as it is proposed today? Or will the floodplain extend further in that property, creating a larger 20-year floodplain, which will eliminate completely any type of building in that area?
Yes.
So again, rest assured that we are as concerned as you are, and we are making sure that we do this properly should anything ever be built in that location.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
So
Mr. Bond.
given what I understand about hydrology and those technical aspects, I think it's entirely possible that the 20-year line comes farther in, and it's going to be tricky.
Well, if it's the
But that's
20-year,
good.
well, look, if it's the 20-year floodplain, we know it's very simple. The government has an order, decree, where we aren't allowed to do anything on a 20-year floodplain, and we, by law, can't issue any permits there to begin with. So we know that if it extends, all deals are off as far as we're concerned.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Monsieur Damian Beaurivage.
On n'était pas au courant des règlements. Il a fait un petit préambule, ça ne sera pas long.
C'est correct, madame, allez.
Il va lire,
Avant tout, j'ai appris que vous êtes un cycliste. Good news. You have all the time you need then. Just joking, folks.
Bonjour, Monsieur le maire. Je m'appelle Damien Beaurivage, j'ai 12 ans et je suis un élève du Collège Charlemagne. Je suis un grand sportif. Je fais de la course à pied. J'ai même représenté Pierrefonds aux Jeux de Montréal. J'ai fait du vélo de route pour les Espoirs de Laval et j'ai gagné plusieurs médailles dans les deux disciplines. Afin de faire partie des meilleurs, ça prend beaucoup de détermination et de pratique. Je dois souvent m'exercer dans les rues de mon quartier, soit en vélo, soit en course, afin d'atteindre mes objectifs. Je passe tellement de temps dehors que je me fais toujours demander si je reviens de voyage, tellement je suis bronzée. Ma maison est sur un coin de rue, au 5048 Cadillac. Les autos qui tournent le coin vont très vite. Et souvent, ils n'ont pas le temps de nous voir être sur nos vélos. On a justement une photo à vous montrer de nous dessus nos vélos. Moi, ma sœur, nos amis ont failli se faire frapper à plusieurs reprises. Une pétition a été soumise il y a 2 ans afin d'installer un système de ralentissement pour les autos. On n'a pas eu de retour depuis. En 2017, mon ami Clément Ouimet s'est fait frapper par une auto sur le Mont-Royal. Je ne voudrais pas que cela m'arrive aussi. Le coin de rue où j'habite est très dangereux. Et j'aurais une question pour vous. Serait-il possible d'installer un dos-down ou des balises comme on voit sur la piste cyclable, les mettre dans le milieu de la rue si possible, dans la courbe, pour mieux nous protéger? Merci.
Merci et bravo pour ton courage.
Merci.
Je te dis, je ne sais pas, tu as quel âge?
J'ai 12 ans.
12 ans. Bravo. Bravo, félicitations, parce qu'à 12 ans, je ne sais pas si j'avais le courage pour venir poser une question comme ça. L'autre chose que je te félicite, c'est parce que tu es impliqué dans le sport. Et si tu ne sais pas encore, mais le sport va changer ta vie, si ce n'est pas déjà fait. Au niveau de sécurité de routière, je vais passer la parole à M. Gignac, parce que M. Gignac, c'est la personne responsable de notre comité de sécurité routière, entre autres, et il va te donner une réponse concernant qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire à cet endroit-là. Et d'ailleurs, on a une réunion bientôt avec ce comité, je pense à la fin du mois, M. Gignac, n'est-ce pas? Le 14. Ça veut dire que le 14, je ne sais pas la pétition, moi je ne l'ai pas vue, on va le trouver et je vais demander de peut-être nous envoyer la pétition que vous avez envoyée il y a 2 ans, si vous avez une copie. Sinon, de toute façon, on va vérifier ce coin-là. M. Gignac va vous expliquer la procédure. C'est 5048 Cadillac. Coin de quelle rue? Beamish. Henri Fabre.
Merci beaucoup. Non, c'est correct. Vous m'entendez? Ça marche pas? Là, ça va? Ah, merci, excuse-moi. Il y a eu une pétition qui aurait été déposée il y a 2 ans. Maintenant, je vous avoue sincèrement, je ne l'ai pas vue. Ma nomination à ce comité-là, à titre de président, d'animateur essentiellement, remonte à la dernière élection 2017. Alors, je n'ai pas vu la pétition, je n'ai pas vu le dossier ou autre. Maintenant, vous déposez ce soir une demande. Il y a un comité de circulation. Sur ce comité, il y a des experts qui évaluent les différentes mesures qui peuvent peut-être être déployées pour assurer la sécurité, pour l'améliorer, parce que le risque zéro n'existe pas, malheureusement. Maintenant, la rencontre de ce comité-là, où il y a des experts en circulation, la police, les policiers, parce que vous partagez la route essentiellement. Alors, il y a un ensemble de règles et de procédures et qui nous dictent, nous, les élus, quel genre de mesures peuvent être autorisées sur certaines rues. Le prochain comité, il y a une rencontre le 14. Donc, ce n'est pas cette semaine, mais la semaine prochaine. Et on va le rajouter à l'ordre du jour, parce que déjà, c'était terminé, mais on va l'inclure, puis on va regarder pour trouver des mesures pour améliorer la sécurité. Maintenant, tu parles de la rue Cadillac, mais c'est l'ensemble. Si tu te promènes un peu partout, il faut regarder. Alors, on s'engage à faire ça, à l'inclure pour la prochaine rencontre. Okay?
Si ce n'est pas un dos-down, on va trouver d'autres choses peut-être, et M. Gignac va communiquer avec toi ou ta famille ou les autres voisins sur la rue pour trouver une solution.
Il y a des outils actuellement, M. le maire, des petites pancartes. Alors, on en avait commandé quelques milliers l'an dernier. On a eu beaucoup de succès. Plein de gens sont venus en chercher. J'ai appris qu'il en restait quelques-unes. Alors, on peut commencer avec ça. Demain, puis est-ce que sur la lettre, il y a une...
Je vais vous livrer personnellement ces enseignes à votre adresse. OK, sans faute.
En fait, je vous remercie beaucoup pour cette suggestion. Ça nous a déjà été proposé il y a 2 ans, puis je vous dirais que ça n'a pas ralenti de beaucoup les autos. Là. Donc,
mais là, je vais vous répondre à vous d'une autre façon. C'est que ça fonctionne, mais ça fonctionne un bout de temps. Parce que les gens, à un moment donné, ils réalisent, bon, ça, la pancarte, ça ne veut rien dire, comme à peu près beaucoup de moyens. Mais écoutez, on va étudier, parce que les moyens, il y en a plusieurs, il y en a d'autres. Chacun avec ses avantages, ses désavantages, et de voir de quelle façon aussi on pourra répondre à la problématique. Et comprendre aussi que ce n'est pas les élus qui décident, on n'a pas cette expertise-là, mais une recommandation d'un comité aux élus de faire tel geste ou autre. Alors, c'est ce qui va être étudié la semaine prochaine, puis comme je vous disais, on va s'organiser pour le rajouter à l'ordre du jour.
L'année dernière, j'avais mentionné publiquement qu'on va revoir le dossier des dos-down à Pierrefonds-Roxboro. On a à peu près 250 km de rues résidentielles. Je le dis souvent parce que ça vous démontre l'enjeu que nous avons dans les secteurs résidentiels. Mais on a demandé à M. Baudouin et son équipe de vérifier le coût associé à des dowdowns. Si on a un programme de quelques années, combien, si jamais on décide, le Conseil, de mettre X nombre de dowdowns dans l'arrondissement par année. Et là, on va prioriser par la suite nos actions par secteur. Et c'est ça qu'on a demandé à M. Baudouin de faire pour nous. Et après ça, le Conseil va décider. Mais entre-temps, M. Gignac va présenter le dossier à son comité et on va essayer de trouver des solutions à cet endroit-là. D'accord?
Et en même temps, vous avez vu le policier qui était ici ce soir. Alors moi, demain matin, je vais appeler le commandant pour assurer une présence policière en attendant, juste au moins pour vérifier. Et on parle de là. Mais là, je vais vous dire, informez vos voisins qu'il va y avoir de la police. Parce que c'est eux autres qui vont se faire prendre.
C'est à leur suggestion qu'on est ici aujourd'hui parce qu'ils sont très présents, très collaboratifs avec nous là, dans le coin.
Mais je répète, c'est toujours le voisin qui se fait prendre. C'est ça. Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Est-ce que je peux dire que tu avais un très beau chandail puis qui change de couleur en plus? Ah oui, c'est...
Bravo, bravo.
Oh là là, ça c'est très beau.
C'est bon, bravo.
Madame Elena Benavides.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Madame Benavides.
Okay, d'accord. Ma question, c'est sur les 4009. Je sais que M. Bon a parlé sur le même sujet, mais bon, il a parlé en anglais, peut-être que pas tout le monde a compris ce que vous avez dit. De toute façon, quand je regardais ces dérogations mineures et que je vois qu'il y a une différence de 9 mètres, je n'appellerais pas une dérogation mineure à 9 mètres, même si ça se construit pas. Je veux dire, si c'est 60 cm, quelque chose comme ça...
Mais le dossier est retiré, Mme Benavides.
Je sais,
oui.
Mais je veux dire pour celui qui va venir, parce que vous nous faites passer un sapin, 9 mètres, ce n'est pas une dérogation mineure, c'est quelque chose de très, très important.
Mais vous avez raison, et le dossier est retiré jusqu'à temps qu'on sait quoi faire, qu'on va connaître un peu plus les zones inondables et les cartes. Malheureusement, je n'ai pas eu les cartes encore. D'après moi, ça va changer beaucoup de choses dans ce secteur. Vous savez très bien aussi, selon la loi, on est obligé de travailler avec qui que ce soit pour donner des permis dans les zones 20 ans, 100 ans. Selon la loi, on peut le faire. Mais à cause de qu'est-ce qu'on a eu à cet endroit-là encore cette année, 2 ans après les inondations de 2017, on a décidé d'être responsable et de retirer le dossier jusqu'à temps qu'on a les informations nécessaires pour prendre une décision finale. Maintenant, on peut parler des dérogations mineures comme vous voulez, là, mais pour moi, le dossier est retiré jusqu'à nouvel ordre, si vous voulez.
C'est très bien.
On est rendu là.
C'est juste que je voulais parler de cette dérogation mineure, parce que quand il s'agit d'une personne privée, d'une maison, on laisse quelques centimètres. Mais quand c'est ce gros constructeur, là, ce n'est pas mineur, c'est des choses majeures. Parce que de 21 mètres, vous allez à 9 mètres, je ne sais pas exactement, mais c'est quand même une grande différence.
Effectivement, Mme Benavides, puis c'est bien noté. C'est bien noté.
Merci beaucoup.
Vous avez raison.
Maintenant, je voulais 2006, cette surveillance des travaux. Une compagnie qui va faire cette surveillance de tous les travaux d'infrastructure. Oui. Je suis très heureuse de voir ça parce que, écoutez, l'entrée ici à l'hôtel de ville, ces dalles qui ont été construites il y a très peu de temps sont déjà endommagées. Alors, je me demande, en ce temps-là, est-ce qu'il y avait quelqu'un qui surveillait la qualité de ce qu'on met sur... ici, à l'hôtel de ville. Maintenant, la bibliothèque, c'est la même chose. Est-ce qu'il y a eu déjà une surveillance de la qualité du produit? Parce qu'il ne faut pas recommencer dans 3-4 ans.
Effectivement.
Alors,
vous avez raison, Mme Benavides. Oui, en temps normal, on a des gens qui surveillent chaque projet, pas juste au niveau de matériel, mais aussi au niveau de travail, les échéanciers, etc. Dans ce cas, qu'est-ce que vous voyez ce soir? Ça concerne plusieurs rues au niveau de réhabilitation des conduites d'eau potable par gainage, entre autres. On n'a pas les ressources nécessaires à l'interne. Je ne parle pas de l'expertise. On n'a pas de ressources nécessaires pour surveiller. Là, ça prend un tiers pour faire ça pour nous et nous aider dans tout ça, qu'est-ce que vous dites. Dans les autres cas, la bibliothèque, effectivement, pour un projet de cette envergure, sûrement, on avait des surveillants, puis les gens qui vérifiaient les travaux. On a des déficiences, et les déficiences se trouvent avec les surveillants que nous avons, parce qu'ils font le suivi. Et c'est pour ça qu'ils ne sont pas terminés encore, ils sont en train de finaliser certaines choses. Pour les marches, ça, c'est un autre dossier, effectivement. Oui, des fois, on n'a pas le matériel qu'on pense, et c'est pour cette raison, pour d'autres facteurs aussi. La quantité de sel, gel, dégel, on a d'autres facteurs qui rentrent là-dedans quand c'est des marches puis des choses comme ça. Je ne veux pas faire des excuses, mais je vous dis simplement qu'on a des gens qui surveillent les travaux et chaque moment qu'ils sont là, les travaux sont surveillés. C'est absolument nécessaire. On ne va pas dépenser l'argent qu'on dépense, Mme Benavides, si on n'avait pas les gens de qualité, des gens avec l'expertise pour surveiller les travaux. Mais ça, comme j'ai dit, c'est pour s'assurer que le travail est bien fait et ça prend malheureusement, heureusement, un tiers pour nous aider dans ces démarches-là.
Oui, ça je comprends bien, mais est-ce qu'ils ont une certaine responsabilité?
Oui.
Parce que ici, les marches, je vois ces marches. Les gels et les dégels, ça arrive toujours au Canada. Il faut compter avec les gels, dégels, sel. Ça, c'est la vie de tous les jours. Donc, ça, ce n'est pas une excuse. Il faut des matériaux, comme les dalles à l'entrée de l'hôtel de ville, il faut des matériaux qui peuvent résister à ça. Sinon, c'est un recommencement constant. Et ce n'est pas seulement l'argent, c'est aussi les dérangements pour tous les citoyens. Quand il faut refaire les routes, c'est très court quand on doit refaire les routes. On a vu boulevard Pierrefonds, on a goudronné, presque 2 ans plus tard, ça commence. Donc, il faut quand même une surveillance sérieuse et des professionnels sérieux qui...
Et c'est ça que vous voyez ici ce soir, Mme Benavides.
Mais j'espère
on a pris ça en main.
On ne va pas payer pour les rien,
non,
encore quelqu'un qui surveille.
Non, mais Mme Benavides, je ne peux pas vous donner plus de mots que ça. La seule chose que je vous dis, c'est que oui, comme administration, on pense quand on dépense ce montant d'argent comme on dépense surtout sur les routes de l'arrondissement, ça prend absolument la surveillance. Quelque chose qu'on n'a pas nécessairement au niveau des ressources à l'arrondissement. Et c'est pour ça que vous voyez ça. Là. Pour moi, là, il faut célébrer le moment parce qu'on est responsable quand on fait ça. Si moi, je vous disais ce soir que nous, on est correct à l'interne de faire ça avec les ressources que nous avons ou l'expertise, it wouldn't be true. On n'a pas les ressources ici. Et c'est pour ça que vous voyez une dépense. Oui, c'est quand même une grosse dépense. Mais c'est absolument nécessaire et on prend les mesures nécessaires pour s'assurer que le travail est bien fait. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Même le matériel, même l'asphalte, même les tuyaux sont vérifiés puis validés avant qu'ils sont posés. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qui est arrivé avec les marches? Je ne peux pas vous dire honnêtement, Mme Benavides, ce soir, mais M. Baudouin, on est en train de vérifier tout ça. Et je partage votre opinion quand vous dites, oui, ça dérange le monde, c'est pas sécuritaire pour un certain moment, jusqu'à temps que ça soit réparé. Je comprends tout ça. Puis c'est une dépense additionnelle, mais même si ce n'est pas une dépense additionnelle, puis le contracteur revient pour faire le travail, c'est quand même pas correct. Parce qu'on perd du temps. On perd du temps.
Bon, en tout cas, j'espère que cette compagnie va faire son travail de surveillance.
Moi aussi, Mme Benavides. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour prolonger de 15 minutes, s'il vous plaît? Merci.
Monsieur Ed Hoyer.
Mr. Bass.
Mr. Hoyer, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here. Last week I went to the library.
You liked it?
Oh, I loved it. I walked around. I had a guided tour all for myself. I had some food. And I think it must be one of the most wonderful buildings in the whole borough.
We're extremely proud of it as well.
And maybe it could be. I was going to say it is now the 8th wonder of the world.
It's actually,
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I wouldn't say that because it would compete probably with the real 8th wonder, but it's actually a one-of-a-kind facility that we're proud of in Quebec, actually.
I mean, I don't like the price on it. It's a little bit expensive, but let's say it's a very nice building.
Thank you. What's your question, sir? Well, Quebec and Montreal.
Yeah. My question is, how much did the flooding cost for Pierrefonds-Roxboro this year, or 2017, or 1998, or all those years? How much?
Well, I don't have those figures yet. As you can imagine, Mr. Hoyer, that the work is still ongoing, and we haven't tabulated the expenses, but you can think upwards in several million dollars. Several $1 million.
5,
easily.
10, 15 million.
Well, several $1 million. Let's not go any further, because it would be completely irresponsible for me to give you a figure that we don't even have yet. So, but it would be several $1 million.
Okay. Supposing I told you I had a magic wand here, and I can stop all the flooding forever and ever and ever. Would you buy my? Would you want my magic wand?
No.
No?
Because it wouldn't exist.
I'm telling you I can do it.
Well, tell me how you would do it, sir.
I come from Holland. And most of Holland, or a lot of Holland,
I have a lot of Dutch friends that have told me that same exact sentence.
Okay.
But tell me.
Well, why don't we put a dike or something and solve the problem?
Let me be very clear, Mr. Hoyer. Thank you very much. And in fact, I know, and we've done research not only in Canada but throughout the world on different types of crisis management when dealing with floods. We know that there are countries, Holland being one of them, that have advanced in flood prevention. We know this. We also know that by building dikes like we did in 2017 in certain areas, we were able to minimize, with the help, of course, of other elements such as some of the modular systems and bags and all the work that was carried out to minimize, if not prevent, flooding in these areas. We know that it's doable. We need to really take a good look at the territory, evaluate what worked again this year, the type of initiatives that we're going to put forward, whether it be that we rebuild dikes, whether it be that we, first of all, we can't do it alone. The provincial federal government has to help us with this financially, but also the residents have to be involved as well. The folks that live at these riverfront vulnerable zones, not everybody at the riverfront is vulnerable, but there are pockets within our community. They all will have to be a part of finding some solution that would best suit them. There are some, for example, that will tell you that we could build dikes throughout our whole territory.
Right.
How will that affect the neighboring community, or someone downriver, or someone further up, or wherever they're situated? This is why when I sat with the CMM, the vision was that we look at the metropolitan area as a whole.
Right.
And we would evaluate the types of initiatives, whether it be permanent dikes or temporary dikes, where they would be placed as so that they don't create an issue somewhere else. And I'm not an expert. All I know is that in our community,
but there must be experts somewhere.
And this is what is undergoing now. The Montreal, which we're not a part of, I have to tell you, we have not. We were the borough that was most affected in 2017, right. And we were one of the ones that was most successful in 2019 in crisis management and preventing floods. Yet we have yet to be invited around a table with representatives. We have put out a request, and I don't see Mrs. Molson here. I think she may have left, my assistant. We have put requests out, not only to Montreal, but to the provincial government as well, to have us present at least at some of these discussions so that we can at least talk about our success story. Again, temporary, could have gone either way, but at least we were able to do something positive. And so I think we have something to talk about and people can learn from it. And from that, invite other stakeholders, such as the residents that live in these communities, some other partners and organizations that may want to be involved in these discussions, and think about a long-term approach to flood prevention in this community. Certainly we're going to have this more often. We've seen this now twice in 3 years, probably for a series of reasons why it's happened again. But one thing still remains the same, is that water will crest in some of these areas if we don't take the appropriate action, whether they be permanent or temporary. So I know that we can do it because we did it temporarily. But what do we have to do now permanently as a community, but also as the City of Montreal and neighboring communities to try to do something bigger and better. Do we want walls necessarily around our whole community? I don't know if that's the solution. And to be honest, I don't think the residents that live in these areas want these cement walls all across their community either.
But look, it's in Martre-le-Lac. They made a stupid mistake. The light dike broke, and so many houses got flooded.
But look, Mr. Hoyer, St. Martre-le-Lac, with all due respect to them and to you, that was a situation, from what I understand, that was already being looked at, that was slated to be done this fall. And unfortunately, the luck of the draw being what it is, it breached at a time where no one expected it to. Yeah. So I feel for those folks there, and hopefully they'll find resolve. But we could have been them as well, sir. On 5th Avenue North, we could have been like them. On Des Rivières, we could have been like them. On Château Pierrefonds, we could have been like them as well. Thankfully, we were not. But doesn't mean we sit back. We've already started working with our services to look at initiatives throughout our territory now. So we don't wait for anything to happen again next year or the year after. And this is where, collectively, we're going to have to sit down and talk about these things.
Could you keep me informed, and maybe I can help? I don't know.
Well, I heard that you are now the man from Atlantis, so maybe you'll be able to solve our flood issue in the future. But it's well noted, sir, and I hate to make a joke of it, but I heard you loud and clear, Mr. Hoyer. Thank you. Thank you.
Monsieur Xavier Mondard.
Bonjour, Monsieur le maire.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, membres du Conseil.
Bonjour.
En fait, je viens aujourd'hui pour faire un suivi là, concernant une problématique très localisée. En fait, l'an passé, vous êtes même venu chez nous. J'apprécie vraiment ce geste-là. Ça démontre que vous êtes vraiment une personne qui se soucie là, de chaque issue, même si c'est des petites issues ou des grandes comme celle qui vient d'être discutée. Je vous ai fourni ici des photos. C'est en fait des résidences là, à côté de chez moi qui accumulent les déchets. Donc, c'est une condition, on peut dire, de hoarding, d'accumulation compulsive. L'an passé, je sais qu'il y avait eu des choses qui ont été faites par la Ville, puis je l'apprécie, puis sachez qu'on l'apprécie. On n'est pas ici pour se plaindre nécessairement. On est ici...
Ça, c'est depuis, pardon de vous interrompre, ça, c'est depuis notre intervention?
Exact.
Wow.
Tout ça pour vous dire que deux éléments que je voulais vous mentionner. Je sais qu'il y a eu de ces déchets-là qui ont été enlevés puis qui ont été storés. Et le voisin en question, il m'a mentionné, sans même que je lui parle du sujet, parce que je lui ai jamais parlé du sujet, c'est pas à moi de m'en occuper. Il m'a dit, j'ai été kicked out de mon storage, puis là, je l'ai vu ramener avec des trailers, plein de morceaux de métal, plein d'affaires. Donc, je vais juste vous dire que c'est une situation qui, à mon avis, s'il n'y a pas une pression constante qui est effectuée, j'ai l'impression que ça ne se réglera pas. Et deuxième point, ma compréhension des choses, c'est qu'en 2018, il y a eu peut-être 2 ou 3 constats qui ont été émis. On parle de 150 $ chaque constat, si je ne m'abuse. Et à mon avis, ce n'est pas 2 ou 3 constats qui risquent à ce montant-là. Je comprends que l'inspecteur m'a mentionné, il paye le constat, donc ça prouve que ça ne marche pas d'émettre des constats. Mais moi, au contraire, je pense que plus on émet de constats, à un moment donné, c'est l'argent qui parle. C'est ça la première chose qui parle le plus aux gens. Donc, ma question est plus, croyez-vous qu'il y a une possibilité pour la Ville d'augmenter la cadence par rapport à ça?
C'est pas juste la cadence, c'est vraiment la surveillance. On va les vérifier avec les inspecteurs et les enquêteurs dès demain. S'il vous plaît, Madame Castonguay peut-être peut ajouter, parce que j'ai visité, j'ai vu moi-même la situation il y a 2 ans.
1 an.
Et 1 an, c'est ça, c'était l'année dernière, au
Exact.
printemps, c'est ça, là, au printemps, c'est ça,
Exact,
quelque chose comme ça?
Oui.
Oui, oui. Et de voir la situation comme ça encore cette année, c'est troublant. Parce qu'on a même nettoyé le cours, puis on a envoyé la facture, n'est-ce pas,
Oui.
Mme Castonguay?
Oui.
C'est ça qu'on a fait la dernière fois. Allez, Mme Castonguay, si vous avez quelque chose.
Ce que je voulais peut-être juste mentionner, je n'étais pas revenue à M. Mondor, mais j'avais reçu votre courriel que j'ai transmis à l'équipe pour qu'il retourne sur place et qu'il y ait des vérifications qui soient faites un peu plus régulièrement. C'est sûr que quand on avait fait tout le nettoyage, on pensait que c'était pour durer, puis malheureusement, ce n'est pas le cas. Donc, on va retraiter le dossier, soyez assurés.
Je comprends, puis je vous remercie là, de prendre ce temps-là parce que je sais que ce n'est pas la demande la plus importante ici ce soir, mais quand même, je vous remercie.
Vous savez, juste pour dire ça, et vous l'avez dit au début, pour nous, ce n'est pas la grandeur de la demande ou comment c'est important ou pas pour nous. Chaque demande, chaque plainte pour nous, c'est égal. Ça concerne la qualité de vie, pas juste pour vous, mais les gens en arrière aussi qui demeurent dans le secteur. Et ça concerne aussi la sécurité de ce résident. On sait très bien, on a déjà rencontré la personne, plusieurs reprises même, et on va continuer de faire ça, Mme Castonguay, avec l'équipe. On va aller visiter cette semaine, juste pour s'assurer avant tout que la personne est en sécurité. Et par la suite, on va faire le plus possible pour régler la situation comme on a fait il y a 1 an. Je vous promets.
Bonne journée.
Merci.
Leslie Murphy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can I just bring you a picture so you know what I'm... Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
That area, I'm sure you're familiar with that area. You cycle by there. It's a private shoreline, but it's within the provincially protected boundaries for shorelines. It's not only at risk for erosion, but there have been recent cuts. In fact, the picture I give you shows a lot of greenery. It was probably taken last year. It doesn't look like that anymore. There have been a lot of cuts. I'm wondering if, I know the City of Montreal has a $75 million plan to buy land, create parks. I'm wondering if either Pierrefonds or the City of Montreal can do something to protect, especially not that area in particular, but other areas along the riverfront that are at risk of erosion. Like that area, I'll just add one more point, that you know that the water, as the water is going down, you can imagine if bushes and trees were cut before the water came up, you can imagine how much land has eroded now as the water's going down since the floodwaters are lowering.
Of course. Your question regarding the $75 or so million that the City of Montreal has, we have already, through the last number of years, submitted different parcels of land throughout our community that we've requested that Montreal evaluate and purchase waterfront property. One being the property between Port-de-Plaisance and Beaubois, which we announced a number of months ago that we were able to acquire and protect. Again, that zone being 20-year floodplain, we are unable to build there anyways, but to leave it in its natural state can only benefit the neighboring community in the event of water cresting in that area because of the root system and the type of vegetation that's there. Another area that we were able to acquire is the small parcel of land, which isn't actually small, but was flooded, if you remember this year, you living by that area, was the parcel of land that is right next to the Manoir Pierrefonds that has the little white farmhouse with the barn. That land now also belongs to the City of Montreal and is undevelopable, if that's a word. So, and there's others as well, which I can't divulge here which parcels of land we're looking at, but this is an ongoing process and negotiation with the City of Montreal in order for us to try to obtain not only for the protective state of these properties, but also benefiting the community and having a waterfront access, whether it be for people that want to walk and have access to the water and not have it private, or just keep it in its natural state. So these are ongoing initiatives that we have in place, and there are others as well. The land that was slated to be built into a condo a number of years ago on Fifth Avenue North was also land that we were for years negotiating with Montreal and the developer and the owner of that property to acquire, and we were successful in doing that, and now it's stayed in its natural state. So this is one here that we will look at with our services and see if it is something that is or at least can be considered by Montreal to be acquired and keep it in its natural state. I agree with you 100%. We can't, just to give you an idea, and for the folks that may not know, anything that borders waterfront, even if we own that property, we can't even trim a bush or cut a tree or anything. And sometimes people will ask us along Lalonde, for example, where you have some of the brush that's overgrowing. Certainly we can trim it and make it more ornamental, but we can't. We're not allowed. And the Minister of Environment is very clear in those initiatives. And the reason being, some of them, like you mentioned yourself, keeping it in its natural state will create a natural, if anything, a natural barrier for not only erosion, but also water coming over the shoreline. So we know of this, and this is one that we will definitely look into and see if it is possible for us to acquire this land. If it isn't possible, the step that we can take is to make sure that the owners of this property are well aware that they cannot modify or trim or plant or remove any brush from that area because it's not permitted.
Can I just ask
Yes.
that they cannot further modify because there are tree stumps there. There's evidence of cutting and of. So I would appreciate that if you could take that step first.
We will.
That it not be modified, and then further steps would be appreciated.
We will
also.
do that, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for posing your question.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening. Thank you.
Si je peux avoir un proposeur appuyeur pour terminer la période de questions après. Merci.
Merci. Alors, nous allons procéder à l'adoption de l'ordre du jour. Il y a eu quelques modifications. Donc, l'ordre du jour sera adopté avec le retrait du point 40.09, dérogation mineure au 130 chemin de la rive boisée, et l'ajout des points suivants. Article .20.15, achat de billets Beauce Carnaval Incorporé. 20.16, subvention les camps de jour Pierrefonds Incorporé. 20.17, subvention Piscine Turndale Incorporé. Et 40.14, règlement CA 00114, occupation du domaine public par Construction Vergo Inc. Sur le projet de la rue Paul Pouliot.
Je propose.
Merci. Merci. 10.03, que soit adopté l'ordre du jour de la séance du Conseil d'arrondissement. Est-ce que j'ai fait la même chose, madame? Oui. Je m'excuse. Je m'excuse. 10.04. Que soit approuvé le procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil d'arrondissement tenue le 6 mai 2019 à 19h. 10.05. Que soit déposé au Conseil le rapport du maire sur la situation financière de l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro le 31 décembre 2018. C'est avec fierté que je dépose le rapport annuel sur la situation financière de l'arrondissement au terme de 2018, les perspectives 2019 et les orientations budgétaires 2020 conformément à l'article 144.7 de la Charte de la Ville de Montréal. Les résultats financiers au 31 décembre 2018. Le budget 2018 prévoyait des dépenses à l'ordre de 29 785 500. Au 31 décembre, les dépenses réelles se sont chiffrées à 30 277 551 en comparaison au budget modifié de 29 858 500. L'écart défavorable est dû à des événements hors de notre contrôle, dont un hiver plus rigoureux que le normal. Les revenus réels se sont, quant à eux, chiffrés à 1 444 890, comparativement au budget modifié établi à 1 296 900. Et l'écart favorable est dû principalement à des pénalités au contrat et à une augmentation des demandes d'études pour divers projets de développement. Plusieurs ajustements financiers comparatifs non récurrents de 533 500 viennent également bonifier cet aspect, portant les résultats du surplus financier à 256 400. Et cette performance permet à l'arrondissement d'afficher un surplus libre accumulé au 31 décembre 2018 à 5 463 444. It is with pride that I table the annual report on the financial situation of the borough for the year 2018, the outlook of the current year, and the general orientation for the 2020 budget in compliance with the Section 144.7 of the Charter of the Ville de Montréal. The 2018 budget forecast planned expenditures of $29,785,500. As of December 31st, 2018, actual expenditures amounted to $30,277,551 compared to the amended budget of $29,852,500, and the negative variation is due to events beyond our control such as the severe winter conditions. Actual revenues totaled $1,444,890 compared to budget estimates of $1,296,900. And this positive variation is mainly due to the contract penalties and to the increase in the number of studies of various development projects. Non-recurrent corporate financial adjustments totaling $533,500 also improved this aspect, bringing the results of the financial surplus to $256,400. And this performance allows the borough to show an unreserved accumulated surplus of $5,463,444 as of December 31st, 2018. Un montant de 5 407 510 a été investi dans le cadre du PTI 2018-2020. Et cette somme a été attribuée à la réalisation des travaux de réhabilitation de la chaussée et de pavage de diverses rues, la réparation et la mise aux normes de bâtiments et d'équipements municipaux et la réalisation de divers travaux d'aménagement dans les parcs. Des travaux supplémentaires entièrement financés par les services corporatifs à l'ordre de 5 060 000 ont été réalisés sur le territoire de l'arrondissement. Et ces sommes étaient destinées à l'amélioration des réseaux d'aqueducs, d'égouts et de drainage ainsi que pour la réfection des rues. Le budget de 2019 est de 31 512 500 et l'arrondissement prévoit respecter ses engagements en termes de dépenses et de revenus, et c'est présenté aujourd'hui le 3 juin 2019. A total of $5,407,510 was invested as part of the 3-year program of capital expenditures in 2018-2020, and this amount was allocated for road rehabilitation works and paving of various streets, the maintenance of municipal buildings and equipment to bring them up to standard, and the implementation of various development works in the parks. Additional works in the order of $5,060,000 funded entirely by the Ville de Montréal were undertaken on borough territory to improve water, sewer, and drainage networks, as well as for road reconstruction. The preliminary financial indicators for 2019 show that the budget allocation for 2019 is of $31,512,500, and the borough expects to meet its commitments in terms of expenditures and revenue, and this is presented today on June 13, 2019. Ce document se trouve sur le site web à partir de demain matin pour consultation. C'était approuvé, Madame Corbeil?
En fait, c'est un dépôt, donc on n'a pas besoin de proposeur appuyant. Okay.
20.01. Que le Conseil rejette toutes les soumissions reçues dans le cadre de l'appel d'offres ST 1904 pour des travaux de reconstruction des conduites d'eau, travaux de chaussée, de bordure et de drainage, ainsi que d'autres travaux connexes dans les rues Fox, Gray, Kent, Belleville, Delray et Racine dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro, compte tenu de l'écart important entre l'estimation des travaux et la soumission la plus basse.
Je propose. J'appuie.
Merci. 20.02, Mme Leroux.
Oui, Direction culture, des sports, des loisirs et du développement social, que le Conseil octroie une subvention avec convention au montant de 9 635 $ provenant du budget de fonctionnement 2019 à Tennis Roxboro pour l'entretien des terrains en terre battue pour la saison estivale 2019. Autoriser Mme Francine Gervais, directrice culture, sport, loisirs et développement social, à signer la convention au nom de la Ville.
J'appuie.
On a 5, Mesdames et Messieurs, on a 5 terrains de terre battue et c'est les seuls au nord de la 40 dans l'ouest de l'île. C'est une qualité impeccable vraiment dans notre arrondissement et c'est pour cette raison que vous voyez ce dépense de presque 10 000 $ pour l'entretien de ces terrains. 20.03, M. Langevin.
that the council grant contracts ST 1903 to Ali Excavation, Inc. in the amount of its tender to wit $9,734,964.75, tax included, and authorize a maximum total expense of $11,419,410.71 to wit $9,734,964.75, tax included, for the contract of $1,460,244.71, tax included, for the contingencies of $224,201.25, tax included, for the incidental cost for road rehabilitation work, curbs, sidewalks, drainage, and related work on Boulevard Gouin West, 2nd Avenue North, 3rd Rue, and the beginning of 3rd Avenue North and 4th Rue in the borough of Pierrefonds-Roxboro.
Merci. 20.04, M. Gignac.
Que le Conseil octroie le contrat 19-17453 à Beauregard Fosse Septique Limité au montant de sa soumission, soit 200 852 $ et 41 sous, pour l'ensemble des 3 années 2019, 2020, 2021, taxes incluses pour le service de nettoyage de puisards et de chambres de vannes, incluant le transport et l'élimination des résidus dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro.
Merci. 20.05. Que le Conseil accorde le contrat SP 2019-06 à l'Atelier Urbain Inc. au montant de sa soumission pour une somme maximale de 59 968,66 taxes incluses pour accompagner l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro dans sa démarche de vision stratégique 2019 à 2024, que soit autorisée l'utilisation du budget de surplus pour ce montant.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 20.06, Mme Talbot.
Merci. Que le Conseil... Je pense que ça... oui, c'est bon. Que le Conseil accorde le contrat SP 2019-1303 à les services EXP Inc. pour une somme maximale de 293 761,13 $, taxes incluses, pour la surveillance des travaux d'infrastructure routière pour l'année 2019 dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 20.07. Que le Conseil accorde des subventions avec convention totalisant la somme de 92 813,36 $ provenant du budget de fonctionnement 2019 à 5 organismes pour la période et le montant indiqué en regard de chacun d'eux dans le cadre de la politique de l'enfant 2019 et la Ville de Montréal, et autorise Mme Francine Gervais à signer les conventions au nom de la Ville.
Je propose.
Que le Conseil octroie des subventions avec...
20.08.
Oui. Que le Conseil octroie des subventions avec convention totalisant 60 151,86 $ à 4 organismes dans le cadre de l'entente administrative sur la gestion du Fonds québécois d'initiative sociale Alliance pour la solidarité, et autorise Mme Francine Gervais, directrice culture, sport, loisirs et développement social, à signer les conventions au nom de l'arrondissement.
Je propose.
20.09. Que le Conseil rejette la seule soumission conforme reçue dans le cadre de l'appel d'offres ST-19-15 pour des travaux de remplacement des portes et des fenêtres extérieures, des bâtiments, des travaux publics et du centre communautaire de l'Ouest dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro, compte tenu de l'écart important entre l'estimation des travaux et la soumission.
Je propose.
20.10, M. Gignac.
Que le Conseil rejette la seule soumission conforme reçue dans le cadre de l'appel d'offres SP 2019-04 pour des services professionnels en inspection de bâtiments pour l'année 2019 dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro, compte tenu du fait que les services ne seront pas requis en 2019.
Je propose.
20.11. Que le Conseil résilie le contrat du service octroyé par la résolution numéro CA 1929-0041 à l'organisme sans but lucratif association communautaire du parc Versailles pour la fourniture de services d'activités aquatiques, incluant la supervision du bain libre et une programmation d'activités dirigées, ainsi que le service d'accueil et l'entretien des propriétés sur le site de la piscine municipale Versailles située au 13 209 rue Desjardins. L'ouverture de la dite piscine est reportée à l'été 2020 en raison des inondations de la longue décrue aux eaux et du délai requis pour terminer les travaux initialement prévus.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. Madame Leroux.
20.12. Que le Conseil consent à un prêt gratuit entre la Ville de Montréal, l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro et l'Association de soccer Pierrefonds pour l'usage de certains locaux du chalet grillé pour une période de 3 ans, du 4 juin 2019 au 31 mai 2022.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 2013, Monsieur Langevin.
That the council agree to a free loan contract between Ville de Montréal, Borough of Pierrefonds-Roxboro, and La Maison des Jeunes Amabé, Inc., for the use of some chalet d'Amabé premises for a three-year period from June 4th, 2019 to May 31st, 2022.
I propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 2014. Que le Conseil autorise une majoration maximale de l'enveloppe des contingences à 633 640, taxes incluses, pour le contrat ST 1816 pour des travaux d'aménagement du parc ancien combattant du port de Plaisance dans l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro, portant ainsi le budget des contingences à 463 785, taxes incluses, à 1 097 425, taxes incluses. Que le Conseil autorise une majoration des incidences du contrat ST 1816 de 25 000 taxes incluses, portant le montant des incidences à 68 264 et 93 taxes incluses à 93 264, 93 taxes incluses. Le tout portant le montant total des dépenses reliées à ce contrat à 3 623 949 et 93, contrat contingence, incidences et taxes incluses à 4 305 820 et 32 taxes incluses.
Je propose.
Merci. 30.01, M. Gignac.
Non.
Le 20.
Ah, pardon,
2015.
oui, effectivement.
Le 2015.
Je m'excuse, oui. Madame Leroux, 2015.
Oui. Que le Conseil d'arrondissement autorise l'achat de 100 billets donnant accès à l'ensemble des manèges situés sur le terrain de l'école Pierrefonds Comprehensive High School entre le 27 juin et le 1er juillet 2019. Les billets seront distribués aux organismes communautaires de l'arrondissement. Que cette dépense soit payée à même le budget de fonctionnement 2019 selon les informations financières contenues au dossier décisionnel.
Je propose.
Merci. 2016, M. Langevin.
Pour le 2016, il s'agit d'une subvention du programme montréalais de soutien à l'accompagnement en loisirs pour les personnes ayant des limitations fonctionnelles, les camps de jour de Pierrefonds. C'est également la Semaine québécoise des personnes handicapées du 1er au 7 juillet. Donc, ça va d'aplomb que nous allons, à titre de conseil d'arrondissement, octroyer une subvention au montant de 9 707 à l'organisme communautaire Les Camps de jour Pierrefonds, Inc., dans le cadre du programme montréalais de soutien à l'accompagnement en loisirs pour les personnes ayant des limitations fonctionnelles. Que cette subvention soit payée selon les informations financières contenues au dossier décisionnel à même le budget de fonctionnement 2019.
Je propose.
Merci. 2017, that the Borough Council grant a one-time subsidy in the amount of $6,590.40 to Thorndale Pool, Inc. in order to cover the fees related to the repair of a water heater, and that the subsidy be paid according to the financial information mentioned in the decision-making document for the 2019 operating budget.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
30.01, M. Gignac.
Que soit approuvée la reddition financière au montant de 908 433,68 $ pour la période du 23 mars au 26 avril 2019.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 40.01, que le Conseil autorise par ordonnance la vente et la consommation des boissons alcoolisées sur domaine public le vendredi 16 août 2019 à 11h, de 11h à 21h, le samedi 17 août 2019 de 11h à 21h et le dimanche 18 août 2019 de 11h à 21h dans un espace délimité du terrain vacant situé à l'ouest de la mairie d'arrondissement à l'occasion du festival Ribfest 2019.
J'appuie.
40.02, that the council authorize by ordinance the selling and the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the public domain from Saturday, August 24, 2019 at 4 p.m. to Sunday, August 25, 2019 at 2 a.m. in the delimited space in the vacant lot west of the Borough Hall on the occasion of Strangers in the Night Show.
I propose.
I second.
40.03, Monsieur Gignac.
It's a notice of motion that the councilor include for adoption at any subsequent sitting the draft bylaw CA 290040/40, modifying zoning bylaw CA 290040 in order to adjust the parking requirements in certain areas and to implement compensation measures regarding the required minimum number of space.
Qui donne l'avis de motion?
Je donne l'avis de motion.
Et là, maintenant, M. Gignac, vous avez la résolution.
Oui, j'y arrive.
4003.
Excusez-moi.
C'est the next paragraph.
Non. Oui, excusez-moi. Oui. Que soit adopté le premier projet du règlement CA 290040-40, modifiant le règlement de zonage CA 290040 afin d'ajuster les exigences de stationnement dans les secteurs des gares et de l'îlot Saint-Jean et de mettre en place des mesures de compensation au nombre minimum de cases requises.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
4004, que soit adoptée la résolution PP 2019-001 en vertu du règlement CA 290045 sous les projets particuliers de construction, de modification et d'occupation d'un immeuble relative à l'implantation d'un bâtiment multifamilial H3 d'une hauteur maximale de 6 étages à même la zone C7424 au 10 500 boulevard Gouin-Ouest sous le lot mentionné à établir diverses normes se rapportant au projet.
Je propose.
4005, Mme Talbot.
Que soit adoptée la résolution PP 2019-002 en vertu du règlement CA 290045 sur les projets particuliers de construction, de modification, d'occupation d'un immeuble, PPC-moi, visant à autoriser l'implantation de 2 bâtiments multifamiliaux usage H3 dans la zone C-4-230 sur les lots 1 843 698, 1 071 092 et 1 073 080, situés au 15 905 et 15 915 de boulevard Pierrefonds, afin de permettre que les bâtiments du projet résidentiel intégré soient occupés ou destinés à être occupés par un usage principal de la catégorie H3, habitation multifamiliale, et à établir diverses normes se rapportant au projet. Il s'agit du projet en face de Acavan.
Je propose. J'appuie.
Merci. 4006, M. Gignac.
Que soit approuvée l'opération cadastrale sous la minute numéro 18670, préparée par Jean Girard, arpenteur géomètre, le 25 janvier 2019, montrant la création des lots 6229309 et 6229310 du cadastre du Québec, circonscription foncière de Montréal, en remplacement du lot 1602487 au 8 et 10 rue Fortier. Que soit accepté le paiement d'une somme compensatoire de 38 500 $ en application du règlement relatif à la cession pour des fins d'établissement, de maintien et de l'amélioration des parcs, de terrains de jeu et de préservation d'espaces naturels sur le territoire de l'arrondissement de Pierrefonds-Roxboro 17-055.
J'appuie.
Merci. 4007, M. Langevin.
That be granted a minor exemption on 13235 Rue London in order to allow in residential H15294 zone for a detached single-family dwelling that an access to land and a parking space be located at 0.40 meters of the north side lot line instead of the required minimum of 1 meter. The whole conditional to the use of alveolated pavement to cover at least the width which would usually be a lateral grass buffer strip, namely a strip with a minimum width of 0.60 meters.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 4008, Madame Leroux.
Que soit accordée une dérogation mineure aux 5080 rue de Savoie afin de permettre en zone P-6-356 pour un bâtiment existant de la catégorie d'usage institution P2B des matériaux de revêtement extérieur autres que ceux autorisés pour les murs, soit un revêtement métallique et un revêtement en bloc de béton architectural.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
Merci. 4009 est retiré. 4010, M. Gignac.
Que soit approuvé le PIA pour la construction d'un bâtiment unifamilial au 8 rue Fortier.
Je propose. J'appuie.
4011, que soit approuvé le PIA pour la construction d'un bâtiment unifamilial au 10 rue Fortier.
Je propose.
4012, Mme Leroux.
Que soit approuvé le PIA pour la construction d'un bâtiment unifamilial isolé de 2 étages au 4830 boulevard Lalande.
Je propose.
J'appuie.
4013, M. Langevin.
Que soit approuvé le PIA pour la construction d'un nouveau bâtiment unifamilial isolé de 2 étages au 4805 rue de Lucerne.
J'appuie.
5101, que le Conseil
Non,
nomme...
il y a le 40.
Bon, pardon, oui, effectivement, 4014, Mme Talbot.
Oui. Que soit adopté le règlement CA 29-0114 sur l'occupation du domaine public pour l'occupation du lot 5042-357 par construction Vergo 2011 Inc. afin d'accéder au site de construction du lot 4868-224 sur la rue Paul Pouliot.
Je propose.
5101, que le Conseil nomme le conseiller d'arrondissement du district du Cap-Saint-Jacques, M. Yves Gignac, comme maire suppléant pour la période du 4 juin au 2 décembre 2019, inclusivement.
J'appuie.
Mme Corbeil.
Monsieur Rostit.
On fait pas la 7001 à la fin?
Non, non. Après les questions.
Yeah, that was fast. Good system. I like it.
We'll see now.
We'll see now if it's a good system. Just to clarify before I ask my questions, 4005, or regarding 4005, my past suggestion was for people that don't come to all the meetings, or especially the CCU meetings, that it could be clarified better. So I suggested a few months ago or whenever that, you know, when these projects come up, that maybe in brackets or wherever we could put either more clarification on the location. For example, with the project on the agenda tonight, 15905, 15915 Boulevard Pierrefonds, brackets, we could put at Côte West, the Centre d'Achat, Fruit Nevada, or whatever. It's just so people might have a better idea. Even though tonight you mentioned it, L'Autre Côté de...
Accavan.
Accavan, exactly. But I mean, on the agenda, you know, for clarification purposes.
Well, it's noted, Mr. Stitt, as it was the last time, and in fact, certainly we can make a reference to some other landmark or business in the area that we can clearly identify it.
And like I stated last time, you could also, if you wanted to, include, brought up at the CCU, such and such date, first reading, such and such date, second reading tonight,
Well,
or whatever.
I think the people that follow these files, no, it's not complicated. I think the people that follow these files and the evolution of these projects are well aware of the locations and when they're presented, as they are public, as you know. One of not many boroughs and communities that has public consultation meetings. But all of that is well noted, Mr. Stitt. Thank you.
Well, just for the people that maybe aren't up on it as much as the others, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, tonight there was, I don't know, 3 or 4 items added to the agenda, a point of order. And there was also one that was just deleted. But I don't think this was mentioned at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
When Madame Corbeil reads the agenda, she always, and you can go back to the tape and you'll see it. She reads the agenda, adoption of the agenda, and with the changes and additions, and that's in fact what she did this evening.
Okay, well then I apologize because I was probably looking at my own notes and questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Stitt.
I noticed that it's mentioned tonight, resolutions for the Rib Fest and the Strangers in the Night. So this recalls my question also probably last fall regarding the idling of police cars. And if there's anything we can do, instead of having 4 cars or whatever the number, idling their engines, adding to global warming and pollution over 3 full days from actually morning to night in regard to both those, 3 days for the Rib Fest and 2 days for the Strangers in the Night.
In fact, if you remember, Mr. Stitt, I had also made that point and asked that question to the commander. And we were clearly indicated that the cars have to be running for the reasons that he gave on several occasions, even after you asked him as well. And I believe, if I remember, he had said that he would evaluate what can be done in future. However, I haven't heard anything from him. He wasn't here tonight, but it is noted, and I plan to make sure that we address that. The other element that we do, I mean, I know you talk about the global warming and the cars running and polluting and all the rest of it. We also, when we plan our events, you know that we've started to create green initiatives where we try to limit the waste, if not zero waste, for these events, and use recycled materials, for the plateware and utensils and so on. And we make sure that we are very clear in working with third partners when they do these events to try to be able to incorporate this in their planning. And we do our own share as well, but it doesn't negate the fact that they have cars running at the intersections. It just means that we also have other initiatives as well that we take into consideration when we plan these major events that attract sometimes 30 to 40,000 people in a weekend. So we're conscious of that, and we also try to promote public transit as well in accessing the site to make sure that people don't bring their vehicles if they don't need to, and we also try to work with our partners to create some type of shuttle system. I know that the Strangers in the Night group also are in negotiations to try to get a shuttle coming in from Fairview, for example. So you don't have a lot of those cars coming into our communities, not only for the pollution, but also wayfinding through the residential areas to find appropriate parking. So this is an ongoing issue, I have to say, and a challenge, I must say. It's not an easy solution, but the police is one that we will bring up. I will bring up personally this week again to see if they've come up with a solution, if anything, to reduce the number of cars at these intersections if they have to be running.
Well, if the sole reason for them running is to keep the red emergency lights on, I'm sure there's another way around that,
Well, that's not what he had said. He had said clearly that
was one of the reasons.
That was one of the reasons, but the other reason was also the high-tech equipment that is in these police cars requires a lot of power that they can't run if the vehicle isn't running, or would drain the batteries to the point where the cars wouldn't be able to start if there was an emergency and the car would have to be deployed. This is the answer that he had given us and what he had repeated here.
Well, that's why I asked him, once the cars are finished for the night or whatever, are they plugged in or charged? And he said, no, they're just left as a regular car. So, anyways.
Because they're not running. The equipment in the car is not running at that point.
Well,
I mean, when the car is running, the equipment is running, and so it has to be, the battery has to keep charging because the equipment is drawing so much power. When the car is off, it's like at your home.
But he didn't give a breakdown on how much the light draws versus how much the computer system draws.
Yeah,
that would be an interesting statistic to have.
I'll ask him, Mr. Stitt.
Okay. Last question. Recently, the trees behind the cultural center, quite a few of them were cut.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's because of the ash borer disease, I would assume. But
Monsieur Baudouin, Madame Castonguay, les arbres qu'on avait coupés.
Just let me finish avant qu'il fasse une réponse. And regardless of the reason why they're cut, I notice on some trees there seems to be a little notice saying ash borer or whatever with a a green thing around it or a red line, you know. But I would suggest that every tree that gets cut should have something on it, and also somewhere where people get more information, and also a date of replacement, a replacement plan to reforest these trees or these areas, you know.
Well, I'm not sure what kind of markings you want on the trees, but the trees
well,
are
something
cut.
where the public would know what's going on and why is this tree getting cut and when is it going to be replaced.
Okay,
you know?
well, we try
to
make sure that we treat every tree before it's cut to make sure that it is treatable. It's when it isn't treatable and it needs to be cut that it's cut. We also have, if you know, on our website, I believe it's still there, the bullet that identifies clearly the ash borer disease and the issues we have not only in our community but throughout Canada, for that matter, if not North America. And we clearly indicate the issues that we deal with on a regular basis. You also have to know that we've planted, since we've been here, and I can't speak for before, but we've planted thousands of trees on our territory, and this is an ongoing initiative to rebuild and reinforce our canopy. And I'm not sure about other communities, but I can tell you that we're quite active in the planting of trees, and we have other initiatives that will be announced soon that I can't divulge right now that will only increase the number of trees that we will be planting in our community. As to replace the trees, I don't have a number of trees that we've cut per se on our territory regarding the ash borer disease. However, we plant many, many more trees than we cut. And the information is readily available on the website, Mr. Stitt, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll verify this with our communications department, but I'm pretty sure that it is, if last I checked.
I haven't looked for it personally.
Well, I think, respectfully, Mr. Stitt, I think that maybe we need to look at that before we ask a question like that. But your point is well made, and I will make sure that we look into it and make sure that we have that information at least up to date for you folks.
Right. Regarding the cultural center, were those trees cut because they had ash borer disease, Monsieur?
The same thing. Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as you know, that we had proved that, just to answer this last point and let someone else ask a question, we had also passed a resolution, if you remember, where it was to rebuild the garden, the Richmond Garden, which actually today you saw the fencing going up. And that is also incorporated to the project that we have, that we will be redoing the pathway and the passage from the parking lot here at the Borough Hall, going through the wooded area, linking not only the library but also linking the cultural center and CLSC. And so that is another major project that we're working on. And as Mr. Baudouin said, it wasn't for any other reason but to cut those trees because they were infested.
What's wrong with the existing path linking those areas right now?
Well, the path that's there already will be revitalized. There will be benches. There will be some lights. It will create more of a welcoming sort of environment so people can have easier access from the main parking lot to these areas and not have to park on the other side if there isn't parking. It's to create a passage that's more, I guess, accommodating for all users to go that way and access all these facilities.
And just a parting comment, as much as we can replace the trees, we know it takes years to get the trees back to the size that they were, obviously, and that's been mentioned in the past by other people.
We have to thank you, Mr. Stitt.
Thank you.
And just quickly, the cost of trees, as you know, being what it is, and the resources that communities have, we have to really be careful in terms of how we prioritize the caliber of trees that we plant throughout the territory. And of course, if it is an important area that needs to be revitalized quickly, then certainly we look at higher caliber trees. But if there are areas that we can plant abundantly and not worry necessarily about the size of the tree, then we will continue to do that. And certainly within a number of years, as we've seen throughout the territory, they'll grow and they'll be mature enough before no time at all. Thank you, Mr. Stitt.
Monsieur Laurent Chouinard.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Alors, premièrement, évidemment, je dois vous remercier à vous, maire, conseillers et tous les membres de l'équipe de la ville et tous les bénévoles qui ont travaillé d'arrache-pied pour nous aider à protéger notre rue. La 5e avenue a été épargnée cette année et c'est sans doute grâce à l'effort de tout le monde. On est extrêmement reconnaissant à cet égard. Et particulièrement, Mme Louise Leroux, qui nous a grandement aidé à être un point de contact formidable pendant toute l'expérience. Merci particulier à vous. Je voulais maintenant savoir, considérant que ça va être extrêmement difficile de négocier avec REM, étant donné le projet en cours et les difficultés d'obtenir de l'information du REM, qui est un projet un peu hermétique, et que les travaux n'auront pas lieu avant 2 ans pour notre secteur environ. Je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce que vous avez l'intention de faire ou mettre en place pour qu'on n'ait pas à se demander à chaque année si oui ou non ils vont nous gracieusement permettre d'avoir l'autorisation d'avoir une digue temporaire construite, étant donné que ça a été quand même difficile d'avoir l'autorisation pour le faire cette année. Je ne veux pas qu'à chaque année, on se redemande est-ce qu'on va ou non avoir l'autorisation cette année, puis se croiser les doigts.
Je vous dis,
merci, va dire oui.
Merci d'attendre à la fin pour poser la question. Je vous dis honnêtement, le temps qu'on est là, comme administration, la digue va rester là. On va faire le plus possible, puis on va poser la digue comme c'était cette année. Entre-temps, j'ai déjà communiqué, comme je ne sais pas si j'avais dit quand j'étais sur le terrain, on sait très bien que le REM va arriver puis va être monté, je pense, 5 mètres d'eau dans ce secteur. J'ai déjà demandé plusieurs fois, encore la semaine dernière, à une rencontre que j'étais avec Mme Castonguay, avec les responsables, maintenant avec la Ville de Montréal, et j'ai dit, on a une opportunité maintenant de construire un digue en permanence en dessous. Et là, le message était transmis encore pour une 2e ou 3e fois, je crois. Et encore, je vais poser la même question à la réunion cette semaine avec les responsables du REM. Nous, on va faire le plus possible pour s'assurer qu'on a une digue à cet endroit-là. Entre-temps, oui, le temporaire est nécessaire et sans faute, on va le faire comme on a fait cette année. Et je ne sais pas si c'est quelque chose qu'on peut garder là pour le moment. Pour l'enlever, juste pour l'enlever, pour moi, ça ne fait pas de sens. On va essayer de le garder là, mais même s'il faut l'enlever, on va le remettre l'année prochaine. Ça, je vous assure, on va faire le plus possible ici comme arrondissement et comme administration de s'assurer qu'on a la digue là, même en temporaire. Mais comme j'ai dit, entre-temps, on travaille avec les responsables pour s'assurer qu'on a une digue permanente en dessous éventuellement.
D'accord, merci.
Merci.
Deuxième question, je voulais savoir si vous étiez au courant que les égouts pluviaux du building à l'arrière sur Megan, Place Gouin, ont été extrêmement hauts pendant les épisodes. On les a vus à quelques centimètres de déborder. Oui. On se doute que ce serait probablement un bon endroit pour aller installer des ballons, comme il a été fait ailleurs. Peut-être ajouter ça sur les plans d'intervention.
Effectivement, c'est noté. On sait très bien. On est en train maintenant de continuer avec le ramassage des sacs un peu partout. Mais en même temps, on est en train d'analyser la situation partout dans le secteur. On sait très bien, ce n'est pas juste sur Megan. On a d'autres endroits où on avait la même situation à peu près. Une chose est sûre, que dans ces endroits-là, on a les stations de pompage qui nous aident beaucoup. Ailleurs, on n'a pas de station de pompage et là, ça nous cause plus de problèmes. Et c'est pour ça qu'on a mis des bâtards d'eau un peu partout sur le territoire pour régler la situation. Maintenant, ça, c'est des gestes temporaires quand même. Et là, c'est pour cette raison qu'on travaille pas juste avec l'arrondissement, mais on travaille avec Montréal aussi pour trouver des solutions à ces endroits-là. Mais c'est sûr que cet endroit est bien noté.
Parfait.
Merci.
Merci encore pour tous vos efforts.
Merci beaucoup. Bonsoir.
Madame Henly Arsenault.
Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening. Once again, representing our street, we would like to thank you for all your efforts because we are still dry and we are still above or below water, whichever level you're looking at. Okay, when this all started back in April, we had a little bit of problem trying to get organized on our street. And I just wanted to maybe make a suggestion that could have helped at the time. We needed someone who could have organized for us, a foreman or somebody who knew the history of the street with regards to the pumps and the dikes. and the flood history of what had happened like in 2017, because we have very capable people on our street to do things, but we didn't know where to start. We had conflicting stories of people coming, the city workers coming to say, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this second, and what can the people do? And we didn't know, and they didn't know, and then another city worker would tell us something different. And we were very anxious, and we were very capable, and we were very ready to do something to get it started, and we just needed somebody to direct us.
Well noted.
Okay.
Now, I know that you know that we delivered bags to every resident there.
Yeah.
You know that we did a lot of proactive communication in terms of what to do with those bags, how to block up your homes, which is understandably the responsibility of the homeowner, right?
Correct. I agree with that.
The additional element that we brought in more than we had done ever before was we had brought in piles of sand for the residents to coordinate, and this is where later on the volunteer effort came in to make sure that they tried to help in the best way they could. The dike behind 5th Avenue North, as you know, we had built the one on the train track, and we're monitoring closely the water that was seeping through the bike path, which, if you remember, by your home there, it hadn't crested past the bike path. It had reached almost that level, but it hadn't come over. And this is why, when the action is prioritized throughout the territory, the decisions that are made through the operations and through civil security is to make sure that they prioritize their action in where the areas are the most vulnerable. And this is what was being done. If there was issues that you were dealing with that maybe, as you say, there weren't proper directives or at the right time in your area, it's clearly noted, and we'll make sure that if that's the case, then we'll make sure that we address that in our own way internally and see that it doesn't happen in the future. I know that we made major improvements in that area this year, but if there were some areas that needed fine-tuning, well, by all means, we're going to make sure that we work on that.
Because, like I said, we had lots of volunteers and lots of people on the street ready to do something. The individual houses we had sort of figured out on our own. It was the dike, the one near the train tracks, the one through the woods, the ones over near the bridge, and on the side of Megan, like Laurent
If I'm not mistaken, the water didn't crest at all in any of those areas.
No, you're right.
No, I know that, and I knew this.
It was close.
But I knew this, and we know that even in 2017, it never crested there.
Right.
And that was thanks to the dikes that were built in the 70s in that area, in the 80s actually, what am I saying, in the 80s, right before I had started in Roxboro. So it was right after the floods of 76.
76, yeah,
that's
after
right.
76,
And
right.
so you're right, and we knew that it hadn't crested in that area, and so the responsibility of the teams with civil security and we had requested that they made sure that they verified the strength of the dike that was there so we wouldn't find ourselves in the same situation as Saint-Marc-sur-le-Lac. And this is why, if you remember, the Army came at one point to figure out two areas, not near you, a little bit right of you from the back. There were two vulnerable spots or relatively weak spots that they had to reinforce. But aside from that, it didn't crest there. It didn't crest at Megan, even though it was high. It didn't go over there. These were all preventative measures that were done in case.
Okay.
But sorry,
I agree with all that.
But sorry, just to finish up on that, the other step that we're going to be looking at is to make sure, in fact, that that dike is secure. And this is an ongoing thing that we'll be doing this year to make sure that if it has to be reinforced, that we do something to reinforce it. The other benefit we have about that dike is, so people know, is that it's a mature dike that has a lot of trees and shrubbery and root systems going through all of this area, which seems to have solidified that dike, and it's not just loose soil as we see in some other areas. So it worked again, and so we're going to make sure that it's secure, and as we move forward, take the necessary action. But it's well noted, Mrs. Arsenault.
Okay, thank you. Yes, what you mentioned, my property was wet up until yesterday. Like about a third of the backyard was still underwater.
But not from the water cresting.
Not from
the
it
water
cresting.
table.
It's from it seeping
From the water
through
table.
and a different spot than
Yep.
than previous to this.
Yep.
We're worried that the inside section has been compromised by the 2017 water that came up
Yeah.
and actually sat up against it for that week.
Well, this is what I'm telling you.
This is what we're worried about,
Yeah.
because I mean, if my piece of property loses its strength, the street will go under, even if that little dike is nice and snug up against the bicycle path and the train station.
You're 100% right.
Train railway
And
line
that's
there.
why I said to you is that
Yeah.
our role right now is to make sure how strong that dike is,
Okay.
and to make sure that if there is an area that's compromised, that we take the necessary action to
Yeah.
make sure that we reinforce it.
Okay.
And this can be done with engineers and experts that are going to come on site and guide us accordingly. I don't think it's anything that we necessarily want the expertise in doing. I mean, we need to make sure that people tell us exactly how it has to get reinforced, if you will, instead of just putting bags all the time. And so that's something we're going to look at.
Okay, and are we looking at this year between
We've
now
already
and
started. We've already started looking at all
Okay.
the areas.
And how are we as the residents of that street going to be notified?
My goal is as we move forward, to go sector by sector and have public meetings with the
Okay.
residents that live in these areas. In the west, there's a pocket of streets that are quite vulnerable and would have been underwater if it wasn't for the initiatives that we took. The walls that we built, snaking through all the residential properties, literally it was a work, and I have to say, it was an engineering work of art. I have to tell you, even though it didn't look pretty in many cases, it worked, you know. But what I want to do, what I'd like to do is eventually, as we move forward, have meetings with the folks that live in these areas. For example, I may call a meeting with
last
Fifth
year.
Avenue North
Yeah.
and just have a brainstorming, even here, a brainstorming meeting, all of us, talk about what we did this year, what worked, what didn't, and the plans that we have, not only as a borough, but as a government with the provincial government, to try to put some permanent infrastructure in there and reinforce it to make you feel at ease. It's not a perfect science, I have to say. I mean, Mother Nature being what it is, I mean, we could do whatever we want. If Mother Nature wants, it's gonna do what it did at Saint-Marc-sur-le-Lac. But we need to involve the residents that live in these areas, because some of you have been there through all the floods. And so you know what's worked in the past and hasn't. And you, like you mentioned with your home now, I'm not sure if we knew that it had seeped through some of the root systems in that dike.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be evaluated for sure. But that's going to be to come, okay? I'm hoping to be able to do that sometime in August. We're going to start calling meetings for that, because we're still in the cleanup phase. You have to understand.
Sure.
And so once we get through this, in August, we'll try to coordinate some meetings with the different areas and have folks involved in finding solutions here, sort of longer term.
Okay, and all that good? We're good with that. And just to let you know, today was the first day we could walk across the bridge to go back over to the island.
That's amazing.
It's dried that much. So.
I'm there more often than you think, by the way.
Oh, well,
you may not see me where you're living at the end of the street, but I'm there more than you think, because I have to tell you, we all are as concerned and as worried, as anxious as all of you are as well, because not only are we trying to protect you and do everything that we can, but we're also concerned for all of you too. And so this is why we're always on the ground, and our services and our staff are there, and you know how they've been available. But you guys on Fifth Avenue North, I say it like the other areas, were remarkable in your community effort, because you were so united as a street in what you were able to do, that it was phenomenal. The dikes in the back of your homes, a lot of it is your doing, all the volunteers that got together and did it. And that's just phenomenal work. And having said that, there are two areas that are going to be left for nearly the end of the cleanup in terms of when we will go and pick up all those bags behind your properties. And you're one of them, because of the number of bags that are there and the resources that are required to move them. And so that's being evaluated as we speak, really. We talked about it this afternoon. I don't have a timeline for you, but we'll let you know when that happens, okay?
Great.
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks.
Monsieur Marc Chernin.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le maire.
Bonsoir.
Membre du Conseil, merci.
Bonsoir.
Mon nom, c'est Mark Chernin. Je suis un résident de la rue Lauzon, à Pierrefonds. un des secteurs, comme on sait, qui était particulièrement frappé par les inondations d'il y a à peu près un mois. Ce soir, je suis ici aussi avec 14 ou 15 de mes voisins de la rue Lauzon. Et eux autres aussi, bien sûr, ils ont vécu les mêmes difficultés que nous autres, ma famille a vécu. We know that the number one responsibility of city officials is to protect the safety and security of its residents. That maybe goes without saying. And there's no question that in 2019, the city did a much better job than in 2017, getting us organized, informing us, helping us during the flood. And I signal your effort in particular, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Langevin. You were there at our house, in the lines, helping with the sandbags, and I know you helped many of our neighbors, and we all deeply appreciate it. But that being said, all that work that the city does comes at a tremendous cost, financially. What we do as residents of Lauzon, having been hit hard in 2017 and 2019, comes at a significant cost as well in terms of our time, our effort, the psychological stress that dealing with the flooding brings. And so my question is, and you may have partially answered it, I think, in responding to other speakers here tonight. In the longer term, what does the city intend to do to fulfill its number one mandate to protect the safety and security of the residents, not only of Lauzon, but Rue Angers, Boulevard Gouin West, where approximately 25 families that are affected and have been twice over the last 3 years. So what is the longer-term vision in terms of attempting to protect the safety and security? You've mentioned dikes that have been built in certain areas of Pierrefonds that seem to have worked. Is that, for example, a feasible alternative for the area in which we live? And if not, are there other plans that are being contemplated?
Thank you for the question. And in fact, we did see each other on the ground on several occasions. And so my heart goes out to all of you who unfortunately had to deal with this situation again. Being a difficult area to manage and to secure with even temporary dikes, we were faced with the same predicament virtually that we had in 2017, despite the efforts and the countless many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of bags and volunteers that came by and staff and all the rest of it. Having said that, I still, as I mentioned to you on the ground that time, there are several issues here. One is we need to clearly identify the flood map in that area. We kind of know it, but I need to see it, the new one. As I mentioned earlier to somebody, do we really want to build walls around communities? I don't know if that's necessarily the answer. And this is why experts will be involved at some point to be able to guide us, especially in your area, being where it is. What are some of the solutions? Quickly off the top of my head, it's to build a natural dike around the area, three corners. You know, you're with each side except on Gouin. On Gouin, you can put something temporary. But the other areas, in my mind, seem pretty easy to be able to build a dike all around, right? I don't know how feasible that would be, and I don't know if we will be permitted to do that. Our goal is to make sure that we recommend and we push for what is necessary in your area. And if we believe, with you, once we call our meeting, and we'll meet in here with your street in that area, which I said to the other folks, then together, collectively, we can ask for these things and make sure that someone is listening when we say that, look, if we were to do this, and if experts help us assess the situation of what happened, and we know that we can build a dike on the three sides, for example, that will integrate well in the landscape, that won't have any environmental impact on the community there, except protect it, won't affect the wildlife or any of the shrubbery or the native plants that are in the wetlands or along the stream in the back, for example, because you need experts to tell us that. Well, then, by all means, we should do everything and anything we can to be able to do that. Now, that doesn't stop the water from coming up from the water table. being a vulnerable zone like where you are. It could happen. It probably will happen. But at least the damages could and probably would be minimized. And that's our goal as we move forward, because as we are still in the cleanup stage, we still plan and we still are analyzing these situations here. To do the sandbagging thing every even 3-5 years, I'm telling you, realistically, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible, realistically, to be able to deploy forget about the money, the manpower, the material, the psychological impact that not only to the homeowners, to the staff, to us, to the volunteers, is absolutely enormous. So if we want to be realistic about it, we need to think about more permanent solutions.
Absolutely.
And those more permanent solutions come with a collective effort from a community that's going to pitch something, and I will make sure I have the provincial representatives here with us. They will listen to us. They will be our voice like they came on site when I brought them, and make sure that they understand clearly what that is there. And I don't want to hear from the government, take 200 grand and leave, because that's not what I'm going to hear. And chances are that the folks that are living there that have been there for decades and generations possibly don't want to hear that either.
That's for sure.
And our role is to try to find a solution to try to make you stay there. And if there is a solution, let's do it and move on. And so that's what we're going to do as we meet here collectively. Know that we're on your side and we will do whatever we can. And I'm not telling you this in a political capacity. I'm telling you this in a community that's been there longer than I have, that needs to be preserved. Now, we have to take everything into consideration and do whatever we can, but we will do it together. And this is when we meet in August, we will make sure we create a critical path and an action plan to be able to voice our opinion at these government levels, I promise you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Madame Chantal Jacques.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. the Mayor, councillors. I also want to thank you all, being from Lauson Street, being the last house that got flooded first. Thank you very much for your presence on the ground, especially to the Mayor, Monsieur Langevin, Madame Talbot, Clément Talbot aussi, qui a été très disponible, toujours pour nous. I want to bring up a subject that is from the 2017 flood, actually. It's a matter that I brought up before with Madame Talbot, Clément Talbot as well. It is the problem we have with the homes that were demolished on Lauson Street following the 2017 floods. There were 2 homes that were demolished then. There's 2 homes that have been abandoned since then. There's a home that will probably be demolished as well because of the floods this year. Those properties are an eyesore. They're a place where people can dump things, where trucks can drive and leave a mess. They're not maintained. They're not, the grass isn't cut. There's ragweed growing there. Now I can call 311 and make a complaint to the city every time, but that is not a plan for a long term for a community that wants to see an interesting environment around it, especially when we're looking at so many lots that are empty and abandoned. I'd like to know what the city plans to do regarding these vacant lots. We're not alone with these vacant lots.
We have...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. We had about 12 vacant lots or so, I would say, since 2017. Some of them, a couple of them are in your area. There are others that are somehow within really heavily residential areas. We know that since those homes sit on the 20-year floodplain, there's nothing we can do on them. We can't even make a green space or a park. There's been a change in government, and we will continue to try to see if there's anything that we can do, whether it's planting, whether it's building of or extending of dikes that we have, particularly in the western portion where we physically had to erect a temporary dike with thousands of bags that were connected to a natural dike on our property that if we had authorization, we could just continue this natural dike within the properties that were demolished, for example, and solve us a huge, effort if ever it happened again. Our role is, and it's not an easy one, I have to tell you, is that because it sits on the 20-year floodplain, we can't do anything on it. We can't plant, we can't cut, it has to stay in its natural state. And what I voiced my opinion with the government when I went to a couple of these meetings is, that's fine when it's sitting in the bush somewhere, but these properties sit in the middle of a residential area where people will dump, teenagers will congregate, it'll become an eyesore and a nuisance, it'll, bring, all the little, whatever, I was going to say, skunks and all sorts of things that will live in these areas, which would probably be fine if they were in a secluded area, but they sit really in the middle of a residential area. So the long-term solution is to be able to not only use those to create some type of barrier, but also to get authorization to be able to, at least in a minimal way, maintain them. We don't have the resources necessarily to be able to deploy teams or resources to put grass and cut and all that kind of stuff, because we have, over 75 parks and green spaces, and we just have enough resources for those. You can imagine now if we made those into green spaces. There have been some requests from neighboring residents that want to purchase that land, for example, and make it a part of their property. So we're looking to that as well. But that's not an easy solution, I have to tell you, but it's something that's concerning us as well, and we constantly bring up to the government. And when we do have the representatives here, when we all meet together, that's another issue that we're going to bring to their attention to make sure that they hear us and they understand what we're talking about. And if they have to come on site. And we have contacts within the government that hopefully some of the ministers, if not one minister, can come and at least attend some of these meetings and hear from yourselves what the issues are locally, okay?
What's the issue with planting trees or sowing grass?
You're not
or
allowed.
Sowing
They won't let us do anything.
wildflowers?
The decree is very strict in terms of what you can do on a 20-year floodplain, and as it is now, we're not able to do anything. And so, what I find fascinating? And I'm saying this, and I'm laughing, I'm sorry, but we're allowed to go in and demolish a home. We're allowed to go dig out and excavate a foundation, but I can't plant grass. How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
Exactly. And so those are issues that we're going to be bringing up, because you're allowing me or a contractor to go in with a bulldozer and dig this place up to take out a foundation that's been there for 70 years, 100 years in some cases,
Yeah,
but I
and-
can't go in and plant a tree.
And leave a mud pile behind.
No, exactly. And so those are issues that we are aware of and are frustrating on our end as well.
Mhm.
But we will definitely be talking about that when we all get together. But rest assured, if not earlier, in August, we will be planning these meetings with the residents individually by sector, so that we don't have too many people talking about different things, okay? And your area is one particularly that will be alone, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madame Soustako.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Stacco.
I'll try to make it fast so we can all go home. Thank you for extending the question period. Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes. I thought I had longer. I have a couple points. Okay, I'll start with the first. In the past, in our 2017 OCPM consultation on Pierrefonds West,
yeah.
Before we had those consultations, we would come often and talk with you, and you said that whatever, when we would have those consultations, whatever the recommendations that came out of the report, you would honor those recommendations or follow them and adhere to them. Here we are, long after. The recommendations were to continue working on the plan and include all stakeholders in the process, conciliate all the data about the biodiversity in the area, get updated flood zone maps, traffic studies, and a cost-benefit analysis. So my question is, what progress has been made toward that process?
When there was thank you for the question, Mrs. Stacco. For the longest time, as you know, you've asked different questions regarding Pierrefonds West and the OCPM, and it was at our request, actually, that we held the OCPM hearings to make sure that we make sure that if there ever was a development there, that it would be done right. As you know, we've always believed, and we still believe, that if there ever is a development there, it can be done properly, respecting not only the environmental issues that many bring up, including yourself. But having said that, with the change of administration in Montreal, all discussions regarding Pierrefonds West were others. That's one that unfortunately we can't work on because we know the end result will be what it will be with Montreal.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear that. Another point I'd like to make is, mostly the numbers that came up tonight, and when you're talking about the provincial government legislating rules on flood zones or river or waterfront areas, we talk a lot about the 20-year flood zone, but those floods, as we know now, are not 20-year flooding happenings. Those are within the 100-year time frame. And so I hope that with all that we've all been through, especially you guys and the homes that have been flooded, we'll consider not only looking at the 20-year flood zones, but looking further to other ways we can mitigate these, such as protecting large natural areas as sponges, which we know they act as, and the studies prove that, and protecting wetlands. And so I hope that that's part of the discussion too. I appreciate that all the effort and attention needs to go to the homeowners, but I hope that when environmental experts are present, that somebody present those issues, and or that you invite the public, that we can present those issues so that we can also cover that part of the
I appreciate that, Mrs. Stacco, and I know that we're far from that, to be honest with you. I think the first priority for us is to get people back to normal.
Yeah.
And then find solutions or temporary solutions, if you will, for those sectors. That's number 2. And number 3 is we'll see where we go as we move forward, knowing that technology exists to be able to build within 100-year floodplains, 20 to 100-year floodplains. Is that what we want? I'm not sure.
I hope not.
Well, wait a second, because in 2017, if we're realistic about it, we hit in areas of Quebec 370-year floodplains, and we know this. And so does that mean that every time we hit a 370-year floodplain, we're not going to build anything or allow anybody to do anything on a 370-year floodplain? And so we need to be very careful here. And that's why I said there's a series of steps we need to take. And for us, the first step is to make sure that our community is safe. After that, if there are discussions to be had with the government, stakeholders, homeowners, and so on, environmentalists, associations, and so on, certainly I think that would be something that would be absolutely required. Like I said at the OCPM, and you remember this well, it was absolutely necessary to make sure that everyone had a voice. And you can be sure that this time around, if we do something like that, then everyone again will have a voice.
Or Mother Nature will speak again. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We can't fight it, but we can work with what we have now and work better. But what's left, natural, that's what we need to be looking at.
Well, the natural stuff that I told you, and I mentioned earlier to someone tonight, we have for years since we've been here, have worked, not because we don't divulge it, doesn't mean that it's not going on, because we're negotiating, right? And when we negotiate for parcels of land, we do it to preserve green space and natural space.
Good.
And you know this, because we have made announcements in the last number of years where we've been able to acquire land, and that's been our initiative that, thankfully, Montreal has, not for all cases, because there's others that they've refused. I'm not going to say, but there are others that they've refused. But there are some that, fortunately, we were able to acquire, which is benefiting our community and the environment. And this is what we will continue to do. And if parcels of land, other than the ones that we have already looked at, need to be examined, then we will make sure that we do that as well. Rest assured.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stacco.
Monsieur Jean-Pierre Guindon.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for waiting till the end, sir.
That's all right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their efforts. We've got a ton of people on Lauson Street that are here today. They've really pulled together and, just made magic happen. little damage, if any, but lots and lots of efforts. And I remember seeing you picking up bags, and well,
it wasn't for show.
Running down there. And
it wasn't for show.
I know. A lot of the questions that I did have been answered in one way or another. I've noticed a significant increase in the way that the efficiency was done, and if it was to happen again, do we have better plans that are laid out already?
What we do have is we created an intervention plan, which helped us. We don't talk about it often, but what helped us drastically was that we had created, after the 2017 flood, an intervention plan that created a level of reaction and proactivity that was well below what Montreal even declares their state of emergency. And so we were, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Baudouin, 7 to 10 days before even Montreal had declared the intervention plan in place. And we knew of this. And so our levels were much lower than what was anticipated in Montreal and through the provincial government. So that was one step. What we need to do this time is take that plan, and what we're doing already actually, is that plan that we have where we've identified different addresses, for example, that were impacted heavily in 2017. We've added, and we will be adding to it from the 2019 levels. Even though we weren't flooded in a lot of areas, in most of the areas like we were in 2017, we know of the homes that could have been, or homes that were salvaged with the actions that we took on the ground. So all that will be documented, and make sure as we move forward, not only, as I mentioned earlier, looking at more permanent solutions, but what are some of the temporary things that we're going to do? What is the equipment that we're going to buy that's going to replace the hundreds of thousands of bags like we did in 2017, where we bought modular walls, water gate systems, deflectors, and so many other things that we did, an analysis across North America, really what was happening. And we continue to do this. Now we know better how to prevent it. Now it's how do we replace some of those initiatives with more permanent infrastructure, again, with the help of all the stakeholders. And that's not an easy one. It's going to take some time, but we're on it now. We were on it while we were in the crisis.
The other question that I do have is, we are a pocket of homes and still a big, large mass of land. And let's face it, if we're going to put a dike along that river on that side and then in the back and wrap it around, I mean, we're what, like 12, 15 homes I'm talking on Lauson Street, not talking about the people that are on Gouin, which need protection as well. But that being said, I know that, I'm going to ask the hard question, is there talk about expropriation of this sector?
Not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely not at all. Not on our end anyways.
Okay.
And I haven't heard any echoes, and I'm connected to all those levels, and I haven't heard anything. The only thing I've heard, and you've heard it too, and I mentioned earlier, is that people can leave for $200,000. That's what I've heard. And what I'm saying is I haven't heard any talk of expropriation.
Okay.
If that's to happen there, you can imagine that it will happen for 10 other thousand homeowners across Quebec, because they were more than 10,000 deep this time around, and not 5,500 like they were in 2017. There were over 10,000 homes that were flooded this time around. Yeah. So our role is to find solutions, temporary albeit, and propose them. If there is a higher entity that is to impose something, so be it, and then we see what we're going to do collectively as a community. I certainly don't want to be the one, and I will not be the one to ever recommend expropriation for any of these homes, because I don't think it's fair to the people that live there, and it's not fair to my community either. Our role is to do everything that we can up until such time that we can't. Even during the floods, when they were waterlogged, we still deployed as much effort as we could, because our primary role is to try to provide the necessary service. It's not to abandon them and tell them to leave, regardless of the situation. That has to come from the collective discussion that I believe will happen at some point, and we're not there yet. I don't believe we're there yet, and I haven't heard any echo of that. And if I do, I promise you that if I do, that's when I will call you immediately to a meeting, and I will discuss this as a community before we even meet with the government, so that we know what we will do as a community before, and allow you to be able to voice your concerns at that moment.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alors, ça met fin à la période de questions.
Ça nous amène à 7001.
Oh, sorry, I thought you had given your place, but you switched your place. Okay.
Go ahead, Mrs. Bond.
Sorry about that.
My two questions were dealing with the adopted, what is it, special construction 001 and 002.
Where are you, Mrs. Bond? What number?
40.04.
Yeah.
40.03 and 40.04,
Yes.
page 3.
Yes.
Concerning the timeline of the adoption of these special construction projects 001 and 002, did the City Council or anyone else plan that both applications were due on the same day?
Madame Corbeil?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure that I understood the question. You mean that they were following the same schedule?
Timeline and schedule, right.
Oh, it's not the first time that it happens.
So this was planned.
It wasn't planned, it was...
Coincidence.
The councillors were working, promoters came with projects, and the councillors, the department, the division
So you
was
would delay
working.
one
Well, let
so
her,
that they
Mrs.
go
Bond,
at the
Mrs.
same
Bond,
time?
Mrs. Bond, let her answer, please, and then you can ask your other question.
No, actually, they came, the projects were submitted to the CCU more or less, maybe not at the same time, but eventually the two councillor, Mr. Massy and Mr. Desbordes, they were working each on a project, and it so happened that they were more or less ready at the same time, so the project followed the same calendar. So it happens sometime that one project will be at the first project, the other one will be at second project, but sometimes they are together. And it was never an issue. The public consultation, they were the CCU together. They were the public consultations were held on the same day. We even started a bit earlier to give more time for each consultation to make sure that people will have a chance to ask questions. So we started at 6 instead of 6:30 p.m.
What's your concern, Mrs. Bond?
So maybe I don't understand your question, but I don't really see an issue because it's not the first and maybe not the last time that it happens.
Well, the procedure is very complicated. It's very time-consuming for the residents to be informed. They were not informed by a letter. Some people got letters. Most people did not get a letter. It was in the middle of the winter. So really, it is orchestrated by the administration so that two projects come through, and they're complicated, involved projects. They don't get their own public information session, which is what it really is. It's not a consultation.
Are you saying that we
So you
purposely
should
planned this?
try-
Mrs. Bond, are you
Yeah.
saying that we purposely planned this? Are
I
you
think
saying?
that you had an input, and
You're
actually,
saying that we
Madame Cal-
purposely planned to have a public consultation for two
Two
projects at
together.
the same time?
Two together.
That's
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay, what's your
Well,
second question, ma'am?
And this isn't the first time, as Madame Corbet has mentioned.
What's your
it.
second question, ma'am? What's your second question, ma'am?
Okay.
It's not the case, but what's your second question?
Okay.
That's the answer for the first one.
Please explain how it is fair that the residents near the 5-story condo project on Gouin and 4th Avenue South, adjacent to the train station, which is one of those special constructions, were so discouraged by the high number needed in the registration to succeed that they did not bother to submit an application.
You're saying that, Mrs. Bond. I have no idea.
No.
We never had.
The procedure
No, but you're saying...
creates a number
My
that
apologies
is
to
so
interrupt.
high that it's impossible to get that number.
But what you're saying, what you
And
said,
it
Mrs. Bond...
discouraged the residents from opening a application.
I don't know that. You're respectfully, you're
I'm gonna
saying that.
tell you that.
No,
That's
but
what
you're
it is.
saying that the residents were discouraged because we required a certain number, but we also have to also respect the law that governs these types of projects and decisions, and know that because of where it sits, the zone requires a certain number of people to be able to oppose a project like this. I don't make that up. We don't make it up. The zone tells you what the number of signatures and number of people required to come and sign a register. So I'm not sure where you're getting with this.
Well, it is true. However, we had, and I'll make it brief, but it is very important. We had a new zoning bylaw drafted in 2010.
Okay.
And during the process, and you were a councillor at the time, and you voted for it, along with Madame Talbot. The other councillors were not on.
And I would have voted for it again. Okay.
One of the objections, or one of the main changes, was a consolidation of small zones into much larger zones, which creates the need of 13 plus 10% of the voter, and the number skyrockets. And so it became less impossible, really, to block zoning changes. Okay, except in certain situations where you had smaller zones.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, Mrs. Bond, and judging from the questioning, I suspect that you're opposed to this project.
And a lot of people
and
were.
And we as an administration, we haven't heard.
Because of the reasons we brought up at the meeting, a couple of the residents who were able to go, as well as I brought up and some other people brought up, and those changes aren't being made.
Well, to end tonight, Mrs. Bond, I just want to tell you that, as we mentioned to you at the consultation meeting, we can respectfully agree to disagree. We believe in this project. We believe in the revitalization of that area. We believe in the densification of that area because of the REM coming into that area that will encourage families without a vehicle to live in an area where they have active and public transport. We believe in that because that area has been neglected for many years because of probably many reasons. And here we have an opportunity to revitalize and beautify and densify and create mixed use in a community that has somehow been neglected because of probably many reasons. And you know, across the street with the Banque Nationale, and you know, with the Laurentian Bank that's across and it's been vacant for many years.
By the borough and investment.
But Mrs. Bond, let me finish, please. And I'm saying to you that when a promoter comes forward and has a viable project that makes sense to us, that is presented through a public consultation meeting, that is not only done through this forum, but also through the public consultation, allows for residents to be able to come and oppose or not. And you come here and you tell me that it was purposely done to put two projects together purposely by the borough. For what reason, I have no idea. And then to tell me that many folks that were opposed to it and are opposed to it haven't spoken to us because they could have come and signed the register or to start a register, and they didn't. So we went through all the legal processes and we produced the project at a public consultation, allowing for folks like yourself and others to come and present their, if they don't want it or if they do.
None of the issues have been addressed.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that the project was looked at not only by the services, by the CCU. The recommendations were proposed to us to our council, and our council approved it. So we believe in that, and we stand behind that project, Mrs. Bond, and we welcome other projects like this to come into our community because it'll only strengthen our community, especially in Roxboro, where once upon a time that was the center hub of the West Island, and now we are going to get it back and slowly start rebuilding that area because of the REM. Thank you, Mrs. Bond. 70-01. Merci beaucoup. Bonne soirée à vous tous. Have a great summer, folks, and we'll see you in August. Merci.